And we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm
Hey,
here with Otim.
hey, what's up?
And we thought we'd get together. We thought we'd have a little drinky drink.
Yeah,
We thought we'd have a chat. And yes, Yvonne, I did not just get Guinness because of you. It is my favorite drink, period. I'll make everything about you. My peas.
I didn't even know you get it in cans, which is pretty cool. So that's
Yeah.
my that's my
Don't be
demon
observer.
always there.
No
Yeah.
observeriness right now. We are deciders today. Just kidding. Just kidding. Maybe it's an American thing. You know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I'm here with Otim. I thought I'd grab Otim and he's one of the first twos we have on the channel. We are going to parse out how we got there to that conclusion. But first, Otim, if you'd like to introduce yourself, if you'd like to tell us about your background, where you came
Yeah,
from, your career
yeah, yeah,
path, all that
all
stuff.
the good stuff. Yeah, so life background. Well, OP wise, so I was one of the early adopters in the
Mm-hmm.
OP community. I actually was already subscribed to Dave's channel pre-OP, and
Mm-hmm.
I saw it was December. I guess this was December 2017. There was a like an introduction to OP of like this is coming in the new year, and then then he started uploading videos, and I found the Facebook community, joined that, got typed like I don't know, it must have been early in March. I mean early in 2018, maybe March or something like that. I don't know. Got typed. I've been in the community since. And yeah, life wise. So I was born in Botswana, lived there till I was 9, moved to the UK when I was, yeah, 9, 10. And then I'm trying to think what's relevant to talk about. So yeah, around 9, 10, I moved to UK. I learned to enjoy football. Started a football team. I'm doing a video. I started I started playing football frequently, and then I was pretty good at school too. It was quite interesting because in Botswana the standards of academics was a bit harsher.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember moving to UK and I was a little bit like, oh, I can relax, like there's less pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And then in secondary school I had to learn to put the pressure on myself. So yeah, and then going into secondary school, I pursued football more, played for the school football team, and played for a team outside of school. Academics, I was pretty focused on doing well, and that's pretty interesting as well because I think as I got older, there was just um, this expectation of myself to like do really well, and I just remember that taking over a bit more as I got older. I think it's because it was easier when I was younger, but yeah. So that kind of continued, and then throughout secondary school, I dabbled into YouTube. It was actually pretty interesting because
Is
I
is secondary school, university, or what level?
oh, it's uh like high school. Sorry, yeah,
Okay,
high
high
school.
school. Sorry,
Yeah, I
sorry to
think
make it American, but I
yeah,
was
no, no, it's all good. I
following.
think it overlaps with middle school too. I'm not
Yeah,
really sure. Uh,
kind of teenage years. Yeah.
yeah. So grade. So we call it year 7. Year 7 is when we go into secondary school. So I don't know if that's middle school or
Yeah,
um
middle school.
yeah. So yeah. So then yeah, in secondary school, I guess I was around 14, 15 at this time, and got into YouTube because I played some games, and at some point I was like, look, if I'm gonna play games, I want to I want to get something out of it. I'll maybe make some money, do something cool with it. So I started doing YouTube. At first, I didn't really know how to. I didn't have any of the equipment to record, anything. I didn't have anything to actually record clips. So I knew a few people that were YouTubers, and then I created like a community channel, and I kind of used their clips to upload onto the channel, and it was pretty cool because it was kind of like because you have Call of Duty, you have like the big clans. huge Call of Duty clans like FaZe clan. There was nothing in the FIFA community. I don't know if anyone's familiar with FIFA, but it's football or soccer video game. So yeah, that was like the first FIFA clan. So that was cool because we were actually quite successful with it. And then there was a little bit of drama um, with like there was a competitor channel that came up, and then some people switched sides, and then but I kind of like moved away. I was in charge of the channel, but
Hmm.
it was kind of like a segue for me to just make my own channel anyway. So I then made my own channel that was doing well, and then I was still playing football on the side, like in my personal life. And then I think as I got older, like 17, 18, 16, 17, 18, I was like, okay, I actually need to think about what I'm gonna do for my future and focus on school a bit more. And I stopped um I stopped, YouTube, and I pretty much stopped playing games. I don't yeah, I don't even play games now. I haven't played games since. Yeah, and then 16, 17, 18, we call it A levels. So it's like just before you go to university. So those 2 years are like determine those grades for the 2 years determined like what university you go to essentially. So there was a lot of pressure. And I didn't actually know what I wanted to do in uni. So that was it segues into the social stuff, but it was yeah, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but I was like I should be doing well. I should be the best. That was I had like the standard of this is what I want to. This is how good I want to be, regardless of what I choose. And yeah, it was difficult because it was the the second year of my A levels. I more or less failed in terms of results. I was working hard. It wasn't like it. I don't think I've ever slacked. It wasn't a case of slacking. It was just a case of just messing up essentially. And I was already kind of like pushing it. Well, I'll backtrack a little bit. So the transition from secondary school to A levels is quite a jump, and it's those 2 years, right? So the first year is quite a transition for most people. So it usually catches people off guard the first year, because you have to tackle the academics a little bit differently, and you may not get good grades at the end of the year, and that wasn't uncommon. So I did put effort in my first year, but then I was caught off guard with, wait, I'm not getting the A stars the same way I was in secondary school, and I didn't do that well first year. So second year I was like, okay, I need to push it. It was like I had this thing of like I need to be kind of doing like studying like 6 hours a day or something.
Hmm.
And so that was my second year, and that's the year I failed. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I put, and it's you just feel like like you can't do anything about it because you feel like you've put all the effort, probably more effort than other people, but you still messed up. And it was just a case of strategy. Like I just didn't, um, I've learned that my mind doesn't work the same way as other people, so I've had to learn over time what's the best way for me to like perform well academics wise. Yeah, and then I had to repeat the year, which is embarrassing enough, but I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm still gonna uh
Hey, I've retaken classes 4 times, failed
yeah,
4 times. Like it happens.
yeah, it happens, absolutely. And yeah, and this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna um set uh set a standard, or like set a precedence of workload that makes it unreasonable for me to not get a really good grade. You know what I mean? So it was like I had it where like I cut my friends out completely for the full year. It was like 12 hours a day. I wasn't actually studying 12 hours a day, but that was the kind of structure I put so that I had an anchor of you're not doing enough because you need to kind of do the work. So
Hmm.
that year. It was really tough, really dark times, but it was probably the best period of my life in terms of like inner growth because I had to learn a lot of things about myself. That was a year of like learning all sorts of things, um, discovering own cook, discovering Eastern philosophy, like
Hmm.
learning about detachment, learning about all sorts. So it was like it felt like a cocoon year where you like develop in the cocoon and then you break out. And I managed to get the grades I needed. And yeah, and the funny thing is, I realized what I wanted to do eventually for uni, and it hit me like a light bulb because it was a really random moment. I was just reading about stuff. So the subjects I did at uni were biology, chemistry, and maths, and I was just kind of good at them, so I just did them. Um, and I don't know what I was looking at, but I was just reading about stuff, and I came across this concept in neuroscience, and it was neuroplasticity, and I was hooked onto it because it was like it was like it was really connected to my like beliefs of the brain is basically plastic and moldable, and you can change how it's modeled by inputting certain stimulus. So that's like that's like either growth or decline. You can do things to change yourself. Essentially, was the message to me. So it's like, wow, like this is the study of learning how to change yourself. So I was like, this is great. So I want to do neuroscience because I was curious about how we could use all of that to incur change on a wide scale for everyone, for all human beings. So that's kind of what got me into it. So I ended up doing neuroscience at University of Nottingham. Yeah, and it was really cool because in my first year, so backtrack, during secondary school, I was quite a shy person. And I was friendly with people, but I was shy. I wasn't comfortable that way. Because you just don't feel comfortable. And I remember in those like 2 years of A levels, I was also learning a lot about, social dynamics, and I really got into Owen Cook. And I don't know if anyone knows, he's typed as ENFP, and he does like social
Sleep
dynamic stuff.
NFP.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah,
audio.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, and I learned a lot about because previously it was just like, I don't know how to do the social stuff, and it's just this is the way I am kind of thing, and it's like, how do I break out of this and not understanding?
Wait, have you taken it as advice? Have you ever gone up to a girl in public and just pulled your
No,
pants down?
no, 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 no. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't do any pickup
You didn't
stuff.
apply it?
No, I did it in. I
Bro,
kind of
bro. Bro. I mentioned this in the Yovon interview, but I'm like, you're an INFJ. Tap into your demons, your NF demons. Just go up, like when you're talking to a girl, if you're having a good time, be like, I'm actually a master of hypnotism. Let me hypnotize myself for a second. I'm gonna hypnotize myself to be less awkward. Say that.
Yeah.
They'll laugh. Like, I can also hypnotize all of you too. They're like, and then they ask, and they're like, oh no, I couldn't, never. Actually, look into my eyes. They think that's hilarious. You gotta try it.
I mean, I'll try that. I mean, I'm taken at the moment, so I don't need to use it anymore.
Try this on your girlfriend. Try this on your partner.
Yeah.
You need to warm her up. Just look into my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess so. I used it as a reference for like just general social dynamics. It wasn't like I need to, get girls and stuff like that. It was just, how do I feel comfortable expressing myself moment to moment.
Helps you with confidence, yes.
Yeah. And it was like it was quite a paradigm shift for me of like, because I think at that time he was transitioning away from the whole hardcore pickup stuff of like techniques, and he was going more into like NF stuff of like vibe and like feeling comfortable in yourself and letting that be what carries in the conversation and not thinking about the conversation so much. So I think I kind of caught onto him at a good time, because that was what I needed. I needed to understand. I had to get out of my own way, and that was pretty much it. And I kind of took that into uni, and my first year was really good because I was like, okay, I was actively like, I'm gonna practice this and apply this and be super social and see where I can get with this, because it was really hard for me before. And and the first year was really good socially, and it was kind of like, I think changing environment helps, because you're out of role in the, you know, like when you go to certain city or environment or group of friends or whatever, it's
Mhm.
like there's, y- I don't know. It's kind of like a fresh start. You get to reinvent yourself essentially.
Yeah.
And I got to do that. And I was, fortunate to just learn how to be super social first year. Um, and then, so that was my first year of uni pretty much. Then second year of uni, I kind of realized it felt kind of empty being so social and stuff. So I remember I was a bit more tunnel vision. Second year, just focusing on school, and I started played futsal for the uni team. That's indoor football for anyone that doesn't
Mhm.
know. And then then 2-3 years into neuroscience, it was just I just became more and more like I just want to do well. And there was a point at the end of neuroscience, my third year, there was a girl who I lived in the same block with, and we used to go, walk to lectures every now and again in first year. We were friends, we were like decent friends, and then it was like third year. We did. I guess it was like our final exam, and everyone was outside. And she was like, "Oh my God, Manny!" Everyone knew me as Manny. She was like, "Manny, this is the first time I've seen you this entire year." And it was, it's because
Wait, what do you?
essentially So I was I was basically just I created a system where I would just, because we had recorded lectures, I would just listen to the lectures in my own time, study in my own time, do everything in my own time. So I didn't really need to kind of go to lectures or see anyone that I didn't need to see. So she never saw me for that year. So
I thought you
yeah,
were dead. I thought you just
yeah,
disappeared.
yeah. And I guess for her, it's because it was quite a big transition from first year being social, um, and then third year just like non-existent. And neuroscience was interesting for me because I enjoyed it, but I had a real struggle with the career commitment to it because essentially you're gonna be a researcher,
So it's a
and
lot of specialized.
it's a lot of specializing, and especially with neuroscience, it's hyper specific. Like it's so specific. It's like you're gonna study a particular receptor in a particular organ of the body, which operates under specific conditions. It's like hyper specific, and you have to do that for years. And it's the beauty of science because you have all these people specializing to get like really robust results to like
Mhm.
build the solid foundation. But for me as the individual, I couldn't. It was like torture. I couldn't do that. Essentially, I couldn't do that. So I decided to do psychology. My plan was to do clinical psychology.
Mhm.
Kind of two reasons. One, it was kind of hype. It was like that's the high status job, and it seemed somewhat more dynamic because you'll have your patients that you're seeing, and then you'll also on the side do research, and you'll work in different capacities. That's why I was kind of drawn to it. But I did my psychology masters, and at the end of psychology masters you need to kind of decide because you're gonna have to make commitments based on which route of psychology you do. And I
Mhm.
was like, I can't do clinical psychology because it was like it's too vacation, it's essentially vocational. Like you have to care and be in it completely because it's it takes a lot out of you, and you
Yeah.
have to be able to buffer that with like this is really important to me. And it was more like this is something that might be good, but I didn't care enough. And I
I
just like it just clicked that because I only just learned about organizational psychology, and I was like, dude, this is perfect because I was so obsessed with productivity, and I was like, oh wow, like this is psychology which overlaps with productivity because you're essentially
Mhm.
ensuring like employees can
Yeah.
function really well. And I was like, I can impart all my knowledge and kind of do the things that I'm interested in, think about things in very like logistical ways.
Business. Yeah.
Yeah, business ways. So I went into that, finished that as a master's, and I've been working for this past year and a half as a customer success agent. A little bit of a veering off the path a little bit, which is fine. But
Mhm.
customer success agent, essentially for everyone, that's it's not customer support. Everyone gets that wrong, and it's not customer service. It's closer to like account management. So my
Mhm.
job is to make sure, because I work for a tech company, when businesses buy a product, I just make sure the project goes smoothly. So I have to liaise with our internal departments, whether that's project coordinators, finance, sales, the technical consultants, and I have to also liaise with the client as well, and make sure everything goes smoothly. It's called stakeholder management, building the relationships, and my like slogan is I help them achieve their business goals with our product and help them achieve what's called first value. So it's like when they're using a product and getting value from it in the business. And yeah, it's all about being proactive. That's why it's different from customer service, which is reactive. Something goes wrong and you fix it. I'm like involved in the whole process. I'm driving the project forward essentially.
Mhm.
And the only reason I picked that was because I was like, I get to understand how a business works because I'll be connected to different departments, and also the tech company I work for, they work across many industries, so like life sciences, aviation, healthcare, um, food and beverages, manufacturing, all sorts. So I was like, I get to understand lots of different industries too. So it's great. And yeah, so it was a temporary job, which was kind of a learning opportunity while I looked for something in business psychology. And my aspirations are eventually to have my own consultancy, which probably deals with innovation, which is what I'm
Mhm.
interested in. So that's I guess where I'm at. Yeah, life story up until now,
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah. No, sounds good. That does track. That does track a lot. It does sound like you went into like sometimes we'll be in a field and we'll latch onto something. So you said
Yeah,
neuroplasticity, and you're like, ah,
yeah, that
anything
was
is
literally it.
possible, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was it.
neuroplasticity, and now you're like, now it makes sense. I did also consider organizational psychology, but I didn't know how to use it.
Yeah,
And I also did consider therapy, but
yeah,
the same reason as you is just like, okay, I care about people's mental health. Like this is my mission stuff, but I'm like, do after listening to people talk about their problems, podcasts, whatever, relationship, it's just like, doesn't everything just become the same in my mind? And it'll just be like the same people will come in and where will I
yeah,
be going?
yeah. That was it. That was it. Like my envision of it, which like made me run away, was like Groundhog Day, like sit in the office just day in, day out, the same people. It was just, yeah, I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It seemed more like as repetitive as being a research assistant in a
Yeah.
way. I don't know why. My mind just like did that with it. So,
I very much
um,
care about psychology like you. I'm sure you're going to relate to it, but like, it's like, do I want to sit down with every person and hear their,
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, I just don't have the energy. I couldn't do that. Yeah,
it's weird because like you, I am so interested in psychology.
yeah.
And it sounds like organizational psychology is the perfect kind of bridge. Did you watch the video on organizational structures? You didn't need to. You didn't need to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I did. I can't
Don't
remember.
don't, don't worry about it. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. I'll redo it. But I did talk about a thing which was the pyramid, right? I
Hmm.
said there's mission based structures, which I would assume that's results based. I give you a task, go set out and take the
Yeah.
task, versus process based, which is the Groundhog's Day. I have the processes. You come in, I do the processes, and if there's a problem, I appeal upward to my manager.
Right. Yeah.
And it does seem like there's always a mix of these organizations. I wonder if I'm bringing this up because you said you were organizational psychology. I'm like,
Yeah.
is there anything in the organizational psychology that talks about this stuff? Because actually, I might want to learn some stuff from you, but you're also a blast last. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't expect anything.
Yeah. I mean, don't. I think
No, I need help, man.
it's uh It's harder for me to say because I haven't worked in that capacity yet.
Mm-hmm.
And like the stuff I'm interested in with organizational psychology, because there's so many different ways you can
Yeah.
deal with it. You can work at the level of policies and making sure the way people's processes are good for them. So you're like managing things at that level.
Mm-hmm.
I get interested, like I mentioned, innovation. I'm quite interested in the kind of change management or like top-down changes of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sort of yeah, change management. So working with senior leaders and understanding things from a strategic standpoint. How can we reconstruct the organization in a way that produces this effect? So like I'm very interested in that top-down approach. And that also involves changing how the leaders lead. So there's a big thing of leadership training or leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also this types of leaders. There's transformational leadership. I
Mm-hmm.
think which is like the more recently popular one, and it's all about. I think if I recall, it's a bit closer to like what Elon Musk is in that way of like you're not just kind of managing things downwards. You're trying to lead from by example, and it's that weird like a position of trying to be inspiring and set a standard whilst also managing, as opposed to just telling people what to do. It's
Yeah.
like so there's that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in. I don't know
Gotcha.
if
Okay.
that even related to your
The
question.
thing is I looked into some organizational psychology. And I'm like, what the hell even is this?
Yeah, there's
How would
so
I
much.
apply it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much.
Is it just HR? Is this just
Yeah,
are they just gonna tell me HR bullshit?
that's the
Is
thing. With me as well. It's like my thing was like, how do I do this and avoid as much HR stuff as possible? Like that's my goal. There is HR involved in it for sure, which is fine, but I don't want to be heavily. It's just not my interest to be heavily involved with it.
well, I mean, someone
Yeah.
at the business I was working at was like warning me, like HR is there to protect the company, not you. I'm like, or
Yo.
actually I didn't hear it, but that's what people with experience were telling me. The
Oh
HR
my.
is here to cover the company's ass, not yours.
Yeah.
They're not here
Yeah.
to help you.
Yeah.
When I talk to business
That's
owners,
unnerving.
they're just like, HR is the enemy. Like,
Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
but
Interesting.
maybe there's some good they do, but it is a structure within the business. It's there for a reason. It's
Yeah,
there for
exactly.
business.
Yeah, it has a business function.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Most of the
yeah.
time.
Which, yeah. I
Sometimes,
think,
rarely.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I think in the company, I guess it depends company per company. Because in the company I work in, our HR department has been, to me, surprisingly proactive. Like
Mm-hmm.
they've done more than I
Oh, that's good.
expected. Of
Yeah.
like random incidents would happen, and like people would actually get fired. I'm like, oh, they actually did something. That's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Like people doing things to other people, or like, yeah,
Well,
or like,
the
yeah,
HR safeguards are there for a reason.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
now, like they're there for a reason. But it is
Emphasis
because
on that.
there's legal liability and PR
Yeah,
liability and all that
yeah,
bad
yeah,
stuff. But it's a system put in place to accountability, whatever.
yeah. Yeah, which is fun to me. I'm like it. I kind of like things being cut and dry in that way. I don't know
Mm.
why. Um, I don't know
Is it
why.
cut and dry? Hmm. Are they honest? Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So now I want to start talking. I'd like to, before we get into the questions, talk about kind of your journey on your social type. So
Yeah, yeah,
did you or did you not get input from Michael or Dave, or is it
yeah,
stuff you've done on your own? Because you
yeah, yeah,
said, just
yeah,
context, you said you were talking to Reggie and you were relating to Reggie, who was a one,
yeah,
and you thought you were one for a little bit. But what's kind of your pathway now? You're understanding on it right now.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, as soon as social types came out, I did think I was the one. Talking to Reggie too. And for me, and just for context with the thinking I was one, it was less of the flex. I didn't really see myself flexing as much. I still
Mhm.
have the DI-isms of like I have my goals and purpose and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
my personal significance.
Um,
I'm
yeah,
better. I see myself
all,
above.
all that, yeah, all that good
Mhm.
stuff. But it was really like what I thought was like, oh man, I'm really friends last because
You really
it
what?
felt friends last. Like I felt more. It was the friends lastness that I was relating to of being type one, of like I have so much stuff to do, I don't have time for friends. Or like, that time in A levels where I was like, all right, I'm not seeing any friends. And I was like, I'm going to uni anyways, so they won't be relevant in my life anyways. Like, and that was it. And I didn't really reconnect. I kind of just moved on.
That is
Um,
the difference I see
you
between
know,
the fours and the twos.
yeah,
Is the twos, it is like the animal stack where it's nested within, right?
yeah,
And it's like, I want friends, but you have to be with me on this. Well, the standards I'm holding myself to.
yeah,
So you probably saw your high standards for yourself, and we're like, damn, man. This,
yeah. And it was like I'm going this way. Are they going to be relevant towards this direction? Probably not. And like there was a little bit of like you want to, everyone wants to like move forward, right? Everyone
Mhm.
wants to like grow, and sometimes yeah, that just comes with it. Yeah, so that's why I thought I was a one. Essentially, that was it. And I did see the responsibility. I've had like lots of random projects that I've done, just and I like taking with the things I am interested in. I like taking kind of like a leadership position.
Mhm.
So like at uni, I had a like a radio station, like a radio show for uni, with my friend, and then I was like managing this like hip hop music group community thing, and then like when I was younger, just like the YouTube stuff of like the FIFA channel with like different content creators that I was managing.
Mhm.
And even like with football, sometimes depending on if I was playing five side, I'd be like the captain or whatever. I'd always enjoy having that strategic high level
Mhm.
oversight position. So that's I kind of related in that sense. But yeah, I got feedback from Dave, and I was talking to him. He was like, "Oh no, I think you're safer friends." He couldn't see between two or four, but he was like, "I think you're safer friends." But you figure it out. Pick,
Mhm.
choose, figure out. Between the two, which you are over time. And yeah, and I was like, I think I'm a two. I, my work habits, my work tendencies are just um, a bit ridiculous.
Mhm.
No, it's actually not ridiculous, but I think within the way my company's set up, it's like I have to. So let me say this: I have to sneak to do more work because I get in trouble. But it's just really nice. My manager's nice because she really cares about work-life balance. So she's
Mhm.
very like, you can't
I
work
don't want
longer
you
than
burning
this.
out on me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want you burning out. And it's funny because I think she's a two,
Mhm.
firstly, and she experienced burnout previously. I think she's mentioned it before. So I think she's just trying to take care of people. And yeah, so now I have to like sneak appear offline on the laptop and just like do whatever I need to do. Because I find when I adhere to the structure, I just start feeling uncomfortable. I start feeling more stressed because the work I don't stop thinking about it, and it'll just bother me. Like I want to do this, or like I want to continue doing this, or I want to work on this. So I'll just feel stressed that I'm not like on top of things the way I want to be on top of it. So it's like I'm not meeting my standards. So I'll just I'll just like appear offline and then just keep working at home, or like because I always wake up like 5:30, or I try to wake up 5:30.
Mhm.
So I'll have time before work. If I need to do something, I'll do something. But I'll do something productive before I go
Mhm.
to work anyways, and sometimes it's work. Um, but yeah, so that's a little bit of why I thought I was 2/4. And then I got tagged by Michael probably end of March or start of April, that period, and he was stuck between 2 or 4. He was seeing that I was spiking on responsibility, so he was a little bit like, um, I don't think you're a 4, because he saw friends, but he was like, my responsibility seems a bit too high for a 4, but he wasn't seeing it like cranked all the way to like definitively be a 2. So he was a bit stuck between
Mm.
4 or 2. And he said that my 5 on 12 would create some sort of gas lizard effect either way. So he said if I was a 4, I would be more responsible. And if I was a 2, I would be more, because I'm an IJ on Mopi. I would be. I know I have consumed frequency, but because I'm an IJ and Mopi, I would be a bit more specialized. So he
Mhm.
was kind of just stuck. He was like, it's either one of those, and I think we had back and forths, and he could see, maybe I'm a 2, but he wasn't like definitive at any point. And as I took that away, and then I just did processing for about like, I guess 6 weeks essentially, or a month. I spoke to Habib, and then he tagged me. He was like, "Oh, I think you're a 2." I spoke to people that have been officially typed. So like some, yeah, officially typed, and just getting their feedback as well, like understanding what it means to be their type, as well as getting their feedback of what they see. I tended to just get type 2 most of the time. The overview videos came out, and then after the
Deep dive
so
videos.
sorry.
Were they the overview videos or the deep dive? Actually, there were
Oh,
overview.
deep dive. Sorry. Deep dive. Um, yeah. So the deep dive videos came out, and it was like the number 4 came out. And I was like, okay. I guess I can see the Save Your Friends, but I'm not. I don't think I relate to the video so much. Let me wait for the other ones. Then as soon as the 3 came out, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not 4, because even like the 3 of like caring about work, I was like, this is more my world. Like I don't. And then the 2 came out, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm a 2 for sure. And at that point, I was more concerned, am I 2 or 3, as opposed to am I 2 or 4. Like that was my real like, which
Because you were
because
kind of like, I'm in the middle. I'm a worker.
yeah, I like it's I just I'm so fixated on like productivity and stuff like as soon as I wake up, I'm thinking about the things I need to do. Again, that's like on my head of like I need to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's all I'm thinking about during the day. Anything else that happens in the day is secondary to like I gotta move in this direction, I gotta do, and it's a little bit of sleep and NI of like
So,
playing. But
who are
um
some of the people in the? I'm just curious. Who are
yeah.
I've been having trouble wrangling, finding twos. Who are some of the people who you found you like related to in the community
In
around?
terms of twos.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh uh relate to
They don't have to be officially typed because
yeah.
We're trying to discover them. They're usually busy people, hard to reach.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Who do I relate to? I think so. I mean, talking to Reggie, I think I related to Reggie in our like focus in on more directionally. I related to Reggie of like this is purpose. This is important. Driving forward in this direction. But in terms of just being work obsessed, this is the hard thing because um I don't know. This is very demon. This is a super demon
Oh, I'm asking
DE.
you about the tribe opinion.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I,
Or
I
the tribe data. I get that. I get that.
yeah,
When I talk to
I'm
the
blind.
DEs, and I'm just like, you got so much more tribe data than me, buddy. Great, give it to me. And you're a DI. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like,
you remembered.
yeah.
Um, is there anyone else? Because I've even talked to someone who was talking to Reggie privately, and they said Reggie seems directionless. But there's also a time and place in your life where, I mean, when I got my Dave audio, he's talking about the time of your life where you're going to be an EP and figure stuff out.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah,
yeah,
Reggie could be there right now.
yeah,
But like,
yeah.
to explore the difference between the ones and the twos.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do I tie this together? Sorry, I'm just processing.
I'm just gonna savor this. Consumed.
Yeah, it's
Okay, actually, there's
I
only
think
one person who comes to mind that I think we talked about this. That you said you related to Hannah.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like you
I
heard her
did. I
talking. Or
remember.
where did you hear her talking? I'm trying to figure this out.
So, I have a mastermind group, and she's
What?
in the mastermind group,
No one told me about this.
and I think she spoke a little bit about her social type there, and then I think I spoke to her more directly. She shared her audios. We were just talking about it, her Dave audios, and we just spoke about it. And yeah, hearing her experience of like her working and it's very interesting because yeah, as I understand, she now recognizes herself as a two.
Mm-hmm.
But I think before she was thinking she was a three, and the stuff that made her think she was a three, it was really interesting because that seemed kind of two-ish for me because she was thinking about
Oh, where
her.
you're rationalizing it as just like when I open it back up.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting how that happens. Like you can literally look at the same thing in different ways, right? Um, and yeah, so I mean, so something she said that I really relate to is being a phrase she said is work or job envious or work envious. It's like when someone says, "Oh, I do this job," you have to like imagine. You can't help but imagine yourself trying to do what they do
Mm.
and trying to kind of
Yo,
like put your head in their position. Like, can I do this? And it's like, oh, I can't do that, and you kind of feel like some kind of um, it's like a blow to your esteem a little bit of like because for me I think just in general and I've made some really dumb decisions along the way of
mhm.
my like adult life. I'm always trying to cover my see it's I don't and this is like the demon ego. I end up focusing more on my weaknesses as opposed to like building on my strengths. So like I'll do things to be like, can I do that instead of like building on what I know I'm good at. I'll be like, let me do this
Oh
thing
yeah.
that I'm not good at. I actually think is a weakness, but I need to check I can do that. And it's like
Mhm.
trying to be adaptable, trying to, being able to put on different hats. And just the way she described that, I was like, I relate. Um, and yeah. I think
Okay.
even at work, my manager, she was like, because we did some like motivational skills training thing, and she's trying to pin me down to like where I want to specialize essentially. And she was like asking me the question of like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I was like, I don't care. And this was before social types. I was like, I I don't care what it is. But I was like, but all I want to do is focus on the things I'm weak on. And I was like, I just want to do presentations. Um, and and she was like, yeah, I'll set that up for you. Then she had to specialize me on my behalf. Um, so then that happened. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just yeah, even at work, I tend to just
Holy moly.
diversify.
Okay. This um essentially my understanding of responsibility right now is whether or not they're saying it, they've said generalist, is
Yeah,
responsibility is a I don't yeah, Kim is chiming in, yes. She's relating to you. I am interviewing Kim next week. Um and all this stuff is the responsibility coin essentially when we get down to it is actually a desire like you immediately see the point in doing your demons kind of,
yeah,
whereas the specialized people when you talk to them about it, they can do it to they see their life is fucking up, they can do it. They can I got my life fucking up. But when you ask them about what's the purpose, what are they doing, what do they really want to do deep down, blah blah blah, they kind of talk about, I want to go all in on NT. I want to go all in on NF. I want to go in on, and there is a purpose for that. There is a reason for that. I'm giving a lesson right now.
Go ahead.
Is that no? Let's think about it. If you're a scientist and you're NT, should you be thinking about the SF of your scientific research?
No.
Should you be thinking, how can I dumb this down to get this in sets? You shouldn't. You absolutely should not. There is a reason, because it would corrupt the NT of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But 100%. If you're the guy holding everything together, you go, holy shit, I have to market this research to everyone.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Holy shit, I have to figure out how to dumb this down and market it to everyone.
Yeah.
And get it in their heads and make this work. And so essentially responsibility, everyone can do responsibility, but when you hear someone reason it out, if they're specialized, they're gonna start rationalizing, I need to do my saviors and kind of just my savior animals, that stuff. Yeah. And then if they see that it's ruining their, like, for instance, Guy said during his interview, and I said, sure. He said, like Dave said, you just got to do enough of your demons to just get by. And I went, yeah, exactly. And in the back of my head, I was like, fuck that. Fuck that. Do not tell me just enough to get by. I'm like, I got to go. Like, in the back of my mind, there was a roaring coming up going, no, you gotta be good at ST. Like, if you, like, you gotta be good at that.
Yeah. And for me, like, the thing in my head, or like the immediate pushback is like, I refuse to get stuck. It's like, if I focus on this, I just see if this, it's like putting your chips in, like, on one slot. I'm like, if that's fucked, you're fucked. You know, like, it's like I refuse to be in a position where I've done, like, that's my innate reaction to specializing.
But responsibility is considered more observery, and I'm also like, there is a fear of getting stuck just because of my innate single observer processing.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I kind of keep saying to my family, I'm like, if I stay here, I will die. Yeah. If I don't go after my dreams, I will die. Now, I want to kind of get more into that conversation of the 1 versus the 2. Where I was talking to someone, I believe is a 2, and they were kind of saying, like, you have a lot of focused, directional, you know what you want to do. Yeah. And it seems like we can differentiate the 1s from the 2s in that the 2s have the drive, but they don't they don't have as much direction. Yeah. Yeah, and you kind of feel that?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, like, looking back. So I don't, it's like I won't notice the directionlessness, like, in the moment. Mm-hmm. Sorry. But it's like, looking back, it's like I'm frustrated. I wasted that time at university, like, changing courses. Mm-hmm. I'm frustrated that I did like odd jobs to push myself, as opposed to pick things like internships to, like, push me in a particular direction, you know, stuff like that. Like,
I mean, I meandered around in college as well. And but you were like, I took up all this random stuff, whereas, like, the thing I did was I was like, hey, I kind of want to do fencing, but I don't want to go to the Omaha Fencing Club because I'll be a rando. I'll be a nobody. So I'm gonna get 50 signatures at my university and start up the club where I'm the president. Right? And then I'm like, you know, and then I came across the SI of, like, I'd gotten it. Yeah. I don't need to get into it, but it's just like it was very.
No, get into it. I'm like,
you go it. What?
I get into it.
You want me to get into it? Okay. So, like, I whip everyone up. I get 50 signatures. I get a fencing trainer to train us in an auditorium at a closed down high school over the summer. Get 20 people in there, and it's like we do it for a few weeks. Half of them show up when the actual fencing club shows up at the university, And then the problem was, what stops me? I didn't want to do I was the president. I didn't want to do the paperwork.
Right. Okay.
and then that responsibility was taken away from me.
Right.
Because my demons. But you can see the motivation.
Yeah, I mean, you created
so
it.
much flex of I gotta be the guy in charge. Put me in charge.
Yeah.
Still be like, I'm the founder. I'm the founder. And they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, I founded it.
Yeah, yeah, true.
It's like, and I want that.
Yeah.
If you don't, I don't get why you don't want that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of, but it wasn't interesting. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Like, oh, for the flex, duh.
Yeah.
Like for the, I'm the best. I led. I'm in charge.
You know, but that's the thing, and this is where I'm a little bit like,
you're not doing it. You're doing it.
So
go ahead.
It's different, right? Because I'm not like doing it, but because I'm a mope, I'm like, that's still my mindset. And it ties into like one of the questions later, but like, and I've said this a few times, even like before social times, where I've said it to my friends where I'm like, oh, I really want my own cult. And
your
then
own what?
Cult.
Oh, you want to be a cult leader too?
Yeah, and it's like, but that's the thing.
You are an INFJ, so it does track. I'm like, I want a cult, and then I look at my stack. I'm like, INFJ.
No, I think there's some cult leader ENFPs. I think.
Yeah.
Was Koi Fresco? Did he have a thing? I don't know if he had.
Well,
I can't remember.
Owen
Cook. He's got his thing.
Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Cultish.
Yeah.
The thing is I talked to someone about this, that cults used to just be a term for close religious group, like in Rome.
Yeah.
It was the cult of Mars, the cult of Juno, the cult of some random goddess of this one town, right?
Yeah.
And then Christianity came in, and it was a religion like cults are evil. Oh, right. What happens when the new religion comes is it goes, the old religion is all right?
Yeah, exactly.
And breaks down the
take out your competitors.
So the cult is just, but because there are plenty of bad cults.
Yeah.
Like if we use the modern definition of a cult, it's like won't talk to anyone outside. We don't want that.
Yeah.
We want the leadership, meaning community, and the tight group.
Yeah, but you know the DI delusion. The DI delusion is, for my cult's gonna be a good one. All those ones were bad. Mine's gonna be different.
No, my what? You're thinking too small, buddy. I've said this before. We're not doing these small scale cults here. World religions. That's what we're in the business of. Come on, man. Stop thinking small fry. We're going big. We're going big.
That's good.
And I mean, like, there is one guy, this one political theorist who's like, political parties are basically just cults.
Yeah.
You're like he said, if you want to take over, if you want to start a political, it's like it essentially starts out as a little political cult.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know what he's talking about. But is it do you want the tight knit group? Like, what's your reasoning?
So this, all right, I guess this ties into I just want to tell people how to live their lives. Like, that's it. It's like and like my model, which I've kind of always had, of like, I'm not religious. My family is Catholic, so I was
also raised Catholic. Nice.
Yeah, up until 12 or 13 or something, and then. But like, I've still maintained the same archetype of like what I resonate with. Like, I'm like, I want to play the Jesus role of like, you're doing this wrong. This is the way, There's just something about that, and I've always been like, I'm blessed last, but I still just want to just tell people how to, It's like, I think Jerry Seinfeld, an interviewer asked him about like, what do you want? What's like your biggest life goal? Like, what's your main goal for life? And he was like, for him, it wasn't like an achievement thing or anything like that. He said something like he wants to create his life philosophy, which he kind of termed like a life operating manual. and he just wants to impart that to his child. So like he wants to create something that's like a life philosophy, and that hit me. I was like, yeah, I want a life philosophy that everyone buys into, and I'm like, yeah, that's
Well,
it.
here's the problem: is everyone projects their saviors and their functions, and we can't. The mistake everyone is making is let me tell you how I did it. This is what I learned.
Yeah.
This is the meaning. It's like,
Yeah.
and you tell that to someone who's different from you, and that wouldn't work for them.
Yeah.
So it's good that we're an OP and we can see
Yeah.
through the veil, but it's the we are responsible for like, oh wait, the contradiction. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Why? Why? I've said this before, like contradictions. Like, how do you deal with contradictions?
How do you
deal with contradictions? If you haven't slept on this before, that's fine. We don't need to.
Yeah, I have kind of. I'm just trying to find. I'm always like double checking my answer.
What are contradictions?
Sorry?
Do contradictions not exist?
No, they do, right? So you have paradoxes, and from my understanding of my experiences with paradoxes, usually you need to resolve those contradictions, and usually you need to. It's an issue of like the paradigm you're on, so you need to. I don't know how to explain it. The answer is resolving the contradictions, but it's like, oh man, it's crazy because I'm audio, but my brain is so visual and it's hard to turn it into like actual words. But it's kind of like stepping above the level of the contradiction and seeing where it doesn't contradict. So it's just a way of changing your perspective. I got there in the end. That's
so. Yeah, I think the base. So I'm your opposite NT, and I will give you. Here's my basic understanding of like. Let's make this biological. Humans, or all organisms, seek equilibrium. They need the heat to be just right. So does it make sense to say Henry needs to be warmer? Does Henry always need to be warmer? No. Henry needs equilibrium with his environment. Humans, organisms need equilibrium. Therefore, they have conflicting needs. They need to go up. They need to go down.
Yeah.
And depending so to say I am up, or say I am just always up. Oh, but I also go down. That's a contradiction. In the space of time, as organisms, we need to be in equilibrium. So we're different things at different times. Humans are living contradictions. That's why there are so many contradictions in the world, because we have to be. But sorry, that's
yeah.
So like, yes, contradictions are going to exist. You could see it external, something in a religion, but I'm saying like people, different times of the year, like stuff like that. And you have to go, oh shit, both exist. These two opposites exist in one person. How? How?
Oh, yeah. And I guess it's like zooming out and seeing it as a pattern and seeing what it means in context of the whole, as opposed to just, one person's like this person's like this one moment and the other. It's like stepping out and understanding where that's coming from, how they relate to each other, I guess.
It's like double deciding. It's like this person is good, this person is bad, well, open it up more. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, Okay. Otim, we are almost at the hour mark, and I have not asked anything.
I know.
Which is good.
I'll be quick.
No, you don't need to be quick. You can take your time. How long do you want to be here?
No, I'm easy.
Are you okay with another hour?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I don't know about the guests, but I'm good. I'm pretty good.
Okay, you don't just flow state, man. I don't need nothing else.
Yeah.
Flow state, man. That's all I'm asking for. Just give it to me like it is. Okay. First question, Otim. If you could be, what would you want to be famous for?
Yeah, so I kind of already alluded to this, but yeah, I'd love, I think, yeah, I'd be a thought leader of some kind of
I like that too.
life philosophy. And this is actually something I spoke to Reggie about, and this is where at like the point in time where I thought I was the one, and it was I had this because he talks about conquerors and stuff like that. And
Don't
I
get me started
was
about Julius Caesar.
sorry,
Don't get me started about Julius Caesar.
and he loves his conquerors, and I told him about a video I was watching. It was Mike Tyson. He was talking to Joe Rogan about the different conquerors. Alex the Great, Alexander the Great, and he spoke about oh wow, I forgot his name already. That's crazy.
What's the context?
It's a particular conqueror who I related to, and he was like
Genghis
the
Khan.
no. So those are like
Where's he from? You gotta know where he's from. What
I
country?
I
Peter the
don't
Great.
know. He, fuck.
What shade was he?
Serious? Osiris.
Osiris?
Yeah, the one that freed all the slaves.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So I came across that video. He was talking about Cyrus, I think that's his name, and he was way ahead of his time. He was, I can't give you the particular, date he was around, but it was way before Alexander the Great. And yeah, he broke complete the norms of the society at the time, and he was kind of like the
He was
conqueror.
Persian, right?
Yes, he was Persian.
The
Yeah,
Persians were one of the only civilizations to get rid of slavery. There are only two.
yeah,
Only two. Every
and
other
that
civilization had slavery.
yeah, and he was just like, yeah, and we're not having slaves anymore. And his rule was like, no one is allowed to. Every time he conquered a place, he was like, I'm not going to change anything. Just do what you guys were doing
Indirect
already.
rule, yes. That's
Yeah,
usually it works pretty well.
yeah, and I didn't. It wasn't specifically that act like what he did that really gripped me. It was the nature of this was way ahead of everyone today will tell you slavery is wrong, but he did something at that time that was completely revolutionary. So and I was kind of explaining to Reggie like I've always just felt a little bit jaded in terms of ethics in general of like everyone knows what to do, but it's like it's just social. Like we've just learned what's good or bad, and that was like the first time I was like touched upon like that's real. That's real ethics because it was like no one could like he had to like and slavery came back after he died. It was like thousands of years before then we were like oh no actually slavery isn't good, right? So he was like way ahead of his time. So I had this idea of like 5,000 year ethics, having something that's not like related to our current way of living, like completely removed from what we know as ordinarily good or bad. It's like anything anyone tells me now of like this is good, this is bad. I'm like, yeah, that's not it. Like, that's not
just the normal political trite.
a little bit.
You're just like,
Yeah. And I don't know why. I'd always felt that way. Like even as a kid, like because we'd have in school we'd have like it was like before the lessons kick off you're in your like form class and our teacher would have world news discussions like oh this happened in the world or like the teacher would give us scenarios like this happened, what would you do, what's the right thing, and I'm like this is so dumb, like why. It just felt so, it's almost like it's this feeling of we've already seen this. Like this is played out. Like we need something new, right?
I get that.
We,
I get that
we
so
need
much.
something new, and it's like so that really stuck in my head of like I'm trying to find the 5,000 year ethics of like what can I do or what can I find today that is not relevant today but it's relevant to the civilization 5,000 years from now. I know that's, and I explained this to my girlfriend and she's like, bro, what are you talking about? How would you know what's relevant in 5,000 years? But that's
I'm gonna
not
have
quite
to agree
the
with
point.
her. You won't
Yeah,
know what's going to be relevant in 5,000 years, and you have to work with what is today But
Yeah. So it's practically ridiculous. It's not real. So I'm not actually saying anything that's actually going to come into fruition, but because I'm always going to be influenced. I'm not even an individual per se. I'm the connection between my environment and myself, right? I'm always being influenced by everything. So doesn't make sense to like say, oh, I'm gonna separate. But it's more about me feeling like there's something of value, if you know what I mean. It feels directionally correct. It feels, from my experience, it deviates from what I've seen. It's like, am I innovating? And yeah, it's like, and that ties into the whole, life philosophy thing. Like, can I create value for the future? And that's it. That's essentially what I would want to be famous for.
I kind of want to talk on I said this earlier, where it was like the closer you get to the top of the pyramid, the closer you are to like possibly being evil.
Yeah. And there's a delusion with me with that. There's a delusion with me with
that you won't be evil.
Yeah, that's the delusion.
So now that you bring up the Osiris, now that you bring up Osiris, it makes me think, because I think about this often, is like I study Machiavelli. Machiavelli says, hey, this is just the manual for rulers. This is how they rule.
Yeah.
You send a guy to go execute a beloved person in a village because you got to. And then you go, what has he done? And cut his head off too.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is legit Machiavellianism of the end results is I have to maintain order at all costs.
Yeah.
And for most civilizations and most rulerships, what they go is, well, our enemies take slaves. That's free labor. We got to do it too. They don't even think we got to do it too, but that is the T. That is how it works. And sometimes you can then you can go against that and generate power from that. But like, you have to think about the dynamics of generating more power.
Yeah.
You got to figure out like, hey, that there are no rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no rules. It's scary.
Yeah.
And the enemies are playing by rules. If they have less rules than us, they're more free than us. If they're more free than us, then they're more dynamic than us. If they're more dynamic than us, they can probably outmatch us in some way. The dynamism of it. But there's power to be generated by noticing a problem in your civilization and promising people a lot of stuff, an improvement, a freedom, and a lot of heat and energy can be generated that way. So there's So both sides. But I'm like, when that's what Dave and Shan were talking about with the specialized people going, just give the people the money, just give people what they need. I'm like, I have all these rich, influential people I need to take care of who want their cut, and if I don't give them their cut, off with my head, And these people are pretty fucking smart. So we gotta keep an eye on these people. But what is always happening is those people are always taking a cut. They're getting lazy. There's a cycle of decadence, which is elites get lazy. Their kids get lazy. They just think they're better than everyone else. And then a new elite group has to rise up and go, okay, we're taking charge.
Yeah.
And actually, Rome survived a lot longer than it should have because it was had so many diverse groups of elites. They'd have a new merchant elite come in, military elite come in, and they kept cycling through as they were falling apart, and that's what kept it going.
Interesting.
And I'll say, America, like I've tried. America is this cycle thing, and then this one historian was like, America is such an amalgamation of a hodgepodge of chaotic power sources that America's doing the same thing. So I'm like, okay. Where is the next power base going to be? I need to be watching for this. I need to be directing myself towards it and all that stuff. But
of course,
crazy talk. But I want a big statue of me somewhere.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. It's something I was thinking as well is the one aspirational talk or aspirational attitude. I think it's good. For me, I feel like I almost think it's good for your life force, your life energy to have something to look up to. Um, so I think it's good. I feel like that's what kind of surprised me when they had the whole hierarchy of like you know, the ones are very different to everyone else. In my head, I'm like everyone should have that kind of aspiration because life is obstacles. So I don't know, it's you're gonna have to you're gonna have to build resilience with it goes back to Viktor Frankl, like everyone is allowed to have like meaning and purpose and all that stuff. So
Well, I mean,
the will to meaning,
did
what
you
it's
read his
called.
book? The what was it?
Man Search for
Yeah,
Meaning. One of my favorites. One of
I
my
read it.
favorites.
I listened to it recently.
Probably my favorite.
I told my parents to have it. My dad bought it. He's reading it or read it, and I was like, there is what David Chan mentioned to us about the NT projection in the future. He talks about the resilience of the people who were less animalistic and in the moment, the people who could disappear into their minds.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's interesting. But what really got me when he was talking about marching through the cold and all the prisoners were like, we all know we're thinking of our wives.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, that's important.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
that connection. And so often as a one, you don't feel like you
Right.
if you're a DI one, you don't feel very connected to people.
Yeah.
But I mean, I said this with Yvonne, I said if we were all ones, it'd be eternal war. We just make problems. We just make up problems, which we
Yeah.
already do. Ones already make up problems that they know are real problems and blow them up.
Yeah.
I go, hey, how can I scare people with observer stuff? Like, so it's like, no, we don't all need to be ones.
Yeah.
It does feel like the lifeblood. Yvonne was talking about friends is her lifeblood, and I was like, my dreams are my lifeblood. If you want to take away one of my dreams, it feels like gun to my chest.
Yeah.
And it's scary. So we don't all need to be ones.
Yeah.
There is a place for, let's say there's a scale on all this stuff between the adult and the child. And I said this to someone recently. I said, what is the purpose of the child in the story? Do we all need to become the adults all the time? Do we always need to be the adults? And it's like, look, in a sense, yeah, we do need to become adults. That's always on the path. But humans have the most useless babies, infants, who can't do anything for the longest amount of time, right?
Yeah. For good reason.
For good reason, because the
Yeah.
child, the feminine, allows the growth and the development. And that useless organism where most animals pop out a baby and they instantly fly away or they start running, ours are the most useless, and ours become the most deadly creature on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
The most deadly creature.
We're the most adaptable.
Most adaptable and deadly.
We can learn. We're built to learn. I can know, and that's just not the case with other animals. Like it's actually insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it's crazy. And if you don't understand the importance of the child, of the feminine, of the friends, of the fours, good luck. You're fucked.
Yeah.
I hope you get screwed over because
you need to learn one way or another.
You need to learn. Everybody needs to do it.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point, to be honest. Yeah.
I was on the same road. I was going discipline, and it was like, yes, we all need some discipline, but
yeah.
And I wish I had gotten more discipline, but I'm like, you know what? I was raised well enough. I'm here from where I'm at today. I'm on the path I'm on, so it's all good. And I gotta start doing work so that if I die tomorrow, my life wasn't for nothing. Which means blasting, telling people like I have all these crazy ideas, and I'm like, shit, I didn't formalize these.
Yeah.
There should be something right now that if I died tomorrow, maybe someone would pick up the reins.
Yeah. Wow. I think I'm always, I mean, this relates to your other question. I'm like, I'll think in the same way of like, if I died tomorrow, But my thing is, I did everything. Like I put 100% effort into like whatever it is I was focusing on or whatever. Yeah, it just feels very effort. Like I have exhausted everything in this body. That's how I want to go. Like I gave everything.
But that is
But
very chaotic. It's very chaotic. It does seem
yeah,
like you're going every direction. I have like, and it's not like I didn't have to process this or go through my Winchester Mystery House, but I went, okay, my single point is that I am upset about broken people, broken minds, people who can't feel like they can't save themselves. Um, and I want to tell a story that just shows them that they can,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
because I felt that way. And
yeah,
I'm just like, and for me, it goes out to a larger NF goal of like, wow, suicidal people. Like, how could you see? How could you want to die? But then I see a whole civilization that's like, hey, we hate ourselves. We hate our own civilization. I'm like, okay, there's problems.
yeah,
There's problems. Mistakes have been made. Mistakes are always going to be made. Doesn't mean you have to die.
yeah.
Doesn't mean some good isn't going to come out of this. Okay, this is too much NF.
No, I mean not for me. I think it's like as you're talking, it's like I'm reflecting and it's relating to things I've experienced. Like the easiest way to it's I mean, I'm not gonna say it. It's like it's easy to find responsibility. You just kind of like look at how fucked up the world is and you're like, I'm gonna solve this. I'm gonna do this, you know.
Mm.
Um and I had a similar thing. It kind of relates to one of your other questions of like what isn't what you should. I know I'm being so feminine or why right now. I'm jumping
Well,
to different questions.
we can get back to the questions if you want to. What
No, it's all
do you
good.
want to answer that question right now? We can answer that question right now.
Yeah. So in terms of like
Question
what is too serious to
to be
be
joked about.
joked about? Yeah. So like one of the things I would say definitely is like okay, if someone has a mental health issue, they can joke about it, themselves. But I think people joking about it at other people's expense of like, oh, this person specifically.
Hey, man,
And
people are fucking nuts, and
yeah,
I don't know. My family last time I had dinner with them, I went, oh, I asked if introverted or extrovert, who's the most introverted, who's the most extroverted, and which one am I? And they were like, you're extroverted. I'm like, do you know me? Do you just know me at a certain time of the year? And they go, oh yeah, you're bipolar. Oh, you're bipolar. I was like, yeah,
oh
I'm bipolar.
yeah,
And I didn't get hurt. Didn't
yeah,
hurt. Can't hurt me. But that could hurt someone. That totally can hurt
yeah.
someone.
And
I
that's
can
from
be.
my experience of like other people. So
I mean, the mindset I want to get rid of is the mindset that, like, here's what I see historically. You know, there have always been crazy people,
yeah,
but the trends say it's getting worse. The trends say more people are killing themselves, more people are depressed. People go, "Are we measuring it? We're measuring it better." I'm like, no, there are more people in the hospital from cutting themselves. We
yeah,
cannot deny this. Something is amiss. And the mentality of, like, it's not even about mental illness. There was a lady from the CDC who said all obesity is genetic. It's
mm.
all purely your genetics. It's like, oh, wait, were obese people reproducing more? I thought they had health complications. Excuse you. Oh, it doesn't have to do anything with your choices or your diet. It's all genetic, because what she was selling was
Yeah,
a pill. There is a new pill
yeah,
out.
yeah. That's so
There is a
weird.
new pill out that got CDC
Yeah,
approved. We
of
have a
course.
scientific solution for everything. Don't worry, you'll never have to try again. We
Yeah.
will give you every ease in the world. Maybe that's why I'm yelling about responsibility. But I'm like, no, at one point, you have to make a decision. You have to say no, and you have to, because I know you'll be happier. You
Yeah,
actually will be happier when you make the right decisions, when you eat healthier.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
So it's the same thing with mental health. The same thing that's being applied
Yeah.
there is being applied to mental health in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you need this, and what the thing is what I say about every structure, everything is consumed. Every structure needs its little cut. Every organism needs its cut.
Right. Yeah.
Every organism needs its cut. It needs to be fed. It needs to grow if it's going to exist.
Yeah.
And
Transaction.
so everything is self-centered.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah. I think it's the selfish gene theory, Richard.
In a sense,
Dawkins.
but
Yeah.
all the other. So it's like consume is everything in a sense starts with consume, and then because of the multitude and the power of cooperation, things bind together, right? And then we get the DE and the blast and the play. But consume is the basis of life. I mean, for instance, this theory also explains like ESFPs tend to get together, and it's like, well, that's probably the most sane way for an organism to be structured is just like SF consume first. Like that fucking works. It's like the NTPs are like, how do I deal with life?
Yeah.
How do I deal with life? The INTP, the NTPs are like, how do I deal with life? No offense. But it's like the most stable consume would be the ESFP. It's like, okay, that can get along, so it makes sense that they end up together. Yeah, like because it can get on with itself, and they'll have some. Usually, the partners will have some differences.
Interesting. I'm gonna process that. That's yeah.
So it makes sense that sensory would come first, and well, we know that from like the hindbrain and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sensory and feeling would come first, and feeling would just be animalistic, ancient, ingrained T.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of just like what worked, and then we made a chemical pathway for this.
Yeah.
Ingrained in you.
Like trial and error, kind of.
Yeah, so it's evolutionary based T, whereas regular T is electronic.
Prefrontal, yeah.
Prefrontal, I had to form these myself. So
imagination. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah. So a lot of theories on this stuff, but like that makes sense. All that stuff makes sense. Where the hell were we?
I don't know.
Jokes. What's too serious to be joked about?
Oh, yeah, mental health. Yeah, you're talking about people taking responsibility and how taking responsibility, and then that kind of tied into the consume. I think you were relating it to how organizations aren't thinking on behalf of people. I don't know. That was my
so OE, but you're right. This is something I am. This is why I made an organizational structures video because I'm like, you guys need to understand organizations. Which you studied organizational psychology, so you're I should probably talk to a lot more. But yeah, you just let me go on a rant. How dare you? I'm just kidding.
No, it was good.
What? Making fun of people for mental. The thing is what your mentality is they can't help it, and in a sense, that is the scary. That was when I was younger. I went, that's the scariest thing. I could just lose my mind, and guess what? It happened. I lost my mind.
Yeah.
I had manic episodes. I had bipolar. What now? And so it's like I'm on a mission that's I'm like, I have to show you guys I can do this without medicine.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Of course.
But it's good. I think. And so I guess the reason why I don't think it should be joked, I guess it's
we don't like making fun of people for immutable characteristics.
Or don't judge the shoes that you haven't walked in, essentially. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
I've walked in those shoes. People are
funny. So it's different if someone suffers. That's why I'm like, someone can make fun of it if they experience it or whatever. But it's like it's that kind of thing of not understanding something and then belittling it, that kind of stuff. It's just that's pretty much it. But
what it feels like. Sorry, I feel like I'm cutting you off. I want to let you keep
No,
going.
no, it's good. I mean, but I do actually relate what you're talking about with responsibility. I'm one of those advocates where I'm like, I kind of draw a line between consideration for mental health, but then also holding people accountable to it. Like if you're not doing certain things, you can't use the mental health card. Do you know?
Yes.
Or if you're being a dick, or like all those boundaries, and finding alternative approaches to like for example, for me, I'm doing um I haven't been diagnosed with depression, but I'm doing like my own CBT. So
Mhm.
I've learned CBT, I've read the books, I do the dysfunctional thoughts thing because I want to manage myself. Um,
Mhm.
and my friend, he's been diagnosed with depression, and he kind of started CBT, but he doesn't do it. Like he kind of just stopped,
Mhm.
and it's been years. And he might have situations where he's like, oh, things are worse for me, things are better. But in my head, I know I'm like, there is something you can do for like there's things you can do, like there's things you can do to put you in a good position. So I'm like, it's a balance of, are you putting yourself in the best position? And it's tricky as well because the condition itself is what stops you from being proactive. So it's like it's a very careful line because you can't judge someone for suffering what they're going through because the inaction is part of it. But it's a very tentative um, thing, and I think, but holding people accountable is important because that's the only way they're gonna get out of it. Like that's the only way they're gonna
There,
sustainably get out.
there's time in the cooker. Like you gotta sometimes you gotta give people time in the cooker, but some people never change.
Yeah,
But the other thing to keep in mind is organisms are not just genes. Organisms are genes expressed in an environment. If you put
yeah,
the DNA for a cow and the cells for a cow to reproduce and to become a cow, and you put it in an environment with no oxygen, the cow will not become a cow.
yeah,
Exactly. And so
yeah.
there seems to be a bit of a lack of oxygen for a lot of people these days. For instance, there was a statistic that was um, like for instance, this isn't a mental health thing, but it's people with pre-industrialized diets have far straighter teeth because they eat hard foods, hard nuts, hard jerky, and your
Oh,
teeth need the resistance for your face to come in
yes.
perfectly.
I have another example, but yes, that makes
And
sense. Your
when
body
people
needs,
from
yeah,
pre-industrial societies move to industrialized societies, their
yeah,
kids have teeth problems. And the only time
yeah.
orthodontics ever popped up was during the Industrial Revolution.
That's
And
so
they never
interesting.
stopped and thought, oh, maybe the problem is the food we're eating.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
this is the science. The problem with
It's so,
science. The science
yeah. It's too, yeah, it is.
it's too
Yeah,
narrow.
yeah, yeah.
It's too narrow. Science is looking through a
Yeah,
narrow lens, and this is
yeah,
not the power of true governance, which is I have to deal with all the problems. I have to look at holistically. Science is I'm going to eliminate the variables.
yeah.
We talk about scientific
It's
governance.
too reductionist.
It is reductionist because it has to be, and it's
Yeah, it
very
has to be,
powerful in that way. It
but
is
yeah, there's a
amazing,
drawback. Yeah.
but like to say we're going to have scientific government and we're going to test something on the population. Is the population science is bullshit? No, it's not bullshit. Science is great. We love science, but science isn't the be all end all. Yeah, Savage Studio.
I've
Um,
got a I've got an interesting wow. I've got an interesting example as well. There's so you have these receptors in your body called mu receptors, and
hmm.
they downregulate pain. So they actually, when they're triggered, they release endogenous opioids, so that reduces pain. So if you have a flare up of pain, but then the injury is gone, it needs to be downregulated. Um, but
Mm.
when you're a neonate, so I don't know what it's like when you're a fresh baby,
Mhm.
um, you need to, or like when you're a baby and you're developing a bit more, you need to actually experience pain in the world.
Oh, that's why I cry
Otherwise,
so much.
otherwise, because when you're in the womb, your mu receptors are configured in the opposite way. so they upregulate pain, and it's the experience of pain which triggers it to go down. So if you were a neonate and like the whole overprotective parent, if you were like, I'm going to create this idealistic world where my baby never experiences pain,
Mhm.
they will just, as they grow up, they'll feel pain all the time because their immune receptors would never have got the stimulus from the environment to
Yeah.
down-regulate pain and just be upper-regulating pain essentially. So it's one of those things where you're like, wow, experiencing some pain is good because you'd be pretty
It's
fucked up.
necessary.
Yeah,
It's necessary to the organism's proper development. Then people are like, how do we eliminate suffering? I'm like, yeah, eliminate suffering. And I go along with it. But deep down, I'm like, maybe you need a little suffering.
yeah.
I'll do it. I'll be your villain. I'll be your villain.
Yeah, it's true. It's true though. Contradictions. Goes by
Contradictions. Exactly
everything.
that.
Yeah.
It is a contradiction. It's we want to make suffering less, but suffering is absolutely necessary because of the evolutionary chain of how you developed.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
someone could get mad and say, hey, let's break the evolutionary chain and get rid of suffering. Maybe it'll be possible.
Yeah.
Should we do it? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you're playing with fire there, buddy. You're gonna make some abortions of an organism.
Yeah. And I think that's because I'm really into Eastern philosophy and that world can be a little bit dangerous too for that kind of thinking because you can very much dabble into apathy as opposed to enlightenment. So it's like numbing yourself as opposed to, oh, I'm overcoming this. So it's
getting
like
you on is just gold for me because I wanted to make it wasn't in my list of videos I want to make yet, but I was like, there is this theory of all religions, given enough time, become cults of death.
right.
And that it happened
Yeah.
in Eastern philosophy.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we had this philosophy, we said it was divine, and then we kept developing, dealing with the historical situation, and we've had to discard it. And now we're like, what's going on? And then we're like, well, life is
Right.
suffering. Let's eliminate all suffering. Let's figure it
Yeah.
out. And decadence. And
Yeah.
the death of the philosophy and the civilization.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
happens
That's
over
interesting.
and over, and that's what I see
Yeah.
happening now. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, something's got to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy moly. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Though I'm the one who I don't know if anyone else did the chain of logic on the, like they said religions become cults of death, and I'm like, did anyone think like why? Like it makes sense.
Right. Okay. But it makes
you'll hear Alex Jones talking about everything becomes a cult of death. The Aztecs were killing babies. We're killing babies now. I'm like, no,
like high level.
Alex Jones, please shut the fuck up. I'm trying to make a point here.
He's intense.
And you're
That's
like,
the thing. I never hear like the reason and the why and the basis when he's doing his rounds. But I've never really dug too deeply.
don't worry about Alex Jones. I've only seen clips. I'm just like, that's funny. And then I'll listen to people talking about Alex Jones.
Yeah.
That's funny. But oh my god. Okay. I think we actually need to get back to the questions.
Okay, yeah.
The questions. So question number 2, since even though we didn't conclude, we can get back and try and conclude on the what's too serious to be joked about later.
Yeah. No, we're good. I think we're fine. Fine.
No, I want to.
Okay.
But I feel like we're gonna just keep going on.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So,
yeah.
Let's get back to you.
Yeah, that's it.
Otim.
Mm-hmm.
What would constitute the perfect day for you?
So I like waking up early. Just what I prefer. But I've had times where I've had to wake up at like 3:30. And it was serene. I mean, it's just not manageable for me to do that every day because I live with my partner and you're living life in
Good job. Let's get the good stuff.
But if it was a perfect day, I wake up 3:30. First hour and a half, I'm doing my morning routine stuff. So I have to exercise half an
Mhm.
hour, have to meditate 20 minutes, and probably 10 minutes of planning, and let's say half an hour just doing a video. Just half an hour of um, breakfast as well. And then it's 5 a.m. Now it's kind of like, so sometimes I have time to, so, okay, so at this point, I
Okay.
guess I just be
What's perfect?
learning,
What's perfect,
learning and
thinker? What's your ideal thinker? Come on, thinker.
so
Stop giving me the tea, thinker.
5 till 6, learning and personal development stuff.
Mhm.
Then 6 till 8, I'd be kind of focused on building like a personal product, whether it's like writing a book, or writing a course or designing a program that I'm gonna, distribute to people. And then 8 till 10. So let's say I live right next to my work, and let's say I'm a CEO or whatever. So 8 to 10, go to work. It's strategy meeting. We're reviewing our winning metrics, so it's good. We're on the upside, and then we're also constructing like some kind of future strategy to keep winning or expanding or growing. So it's a positive start to the day in terms of like direction and future planning. Then 10 till 2, I'm actually doing my job, but it's like, maybe meeting with clients, investors, building revenue in whatever way, if I'm a CEO, whatever that entails. And then let's say 2 till 5, I got to fly out somewhere to do a presentation, do a TED talk or keynote speak, um, maybe do Q&A or whatever. So that's like presenter mode, 2 till 5. And then 5 till 7, it's like outside of work, but I have my own side thing of like I have my Avengers. It's like my special mastermind group of like high tier world influential people, and we're planning for the future. We're designing initiatives or innovation programs. So that's like 5 till 7. Like what Bill Gates does with his programs, stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
And then 7 till 9, family time. Maybe with my partner, we go somewhere really nice, somewhere serene. Go to a beach. 9 p.m. bedtime because I have to wake up at 3:30 the next day. And then that's the perfect day. It's a mixture of. It kind of starts very sleep, and because it's just me, and then it expands into like I guess play at the end. But yeah,
That's
that
the most realistic and detailed I've ever heard. It's my perfect day. I'll just
yeah
say
yeah. I
that.
don't know yeah, and I don't know what that means, but yeah.
I mean, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I've conquered the world, and I'm soaking it.
This
Something
is
like
the first time I thought about it. I was thinking of outcomes of like I won an award or this happened, but I
that.
felt like that's like skipping to the end of the movie, right?
Mhm.
I wanna go through the movie, like that's
I
what I
think you
get
skip
out of
to the
video.
end of the movie quite too often. I will say like that.
And
That's fucked me up.
oh,
Like
okay,
one day I'll be famous. It's like, well, are you putting in the work? Are you putting in the effort? It's like darkness. So
yeah.
yeah, no, it's
But I
no.
relate. I'm same with me. Absolutely,
We're
same with
both
me.
lead intuition. Yeah.
Yeah, and mopes. So it's like, yeah, yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's like feeling what I've done is like that's the juice of like, yeah. Yeah, that'll be the perfect day, I think.
Nice. No,
Yeah.
really cool answer. I haven't heard an answer like that where you literally like your whole day and
Yeah,
timestamps. Really
yeah.
cool. Really cool. Okay. Next question. Otem, for what in life do you feel most grateful?
Uh, Two things. Pretty cliche answers. So,
Mhm.
but maybe I can explain it to give it a bit more validity. But so the two things are family and life. So family, I just have great parents. It's like I think they're probably twos. They are the most. They're different to other people in terms of they do so much, but I've never seen them complain. They have such solid kind of life philosophies, um, and they're very valued by people around our family. Like their friends really look up to them. So I've been super fortunate growing up, just picking up everything, you know, like their life philosophy, the way they live life, the way they carry themselves. So I've been really fortunate. I think it's like I haven't had to learn certain lessons the hard way. I've just picked it up by osmosis.
Mhm.
Um,
That gives
even
you a head start, man. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, and that's important as well because then it's like I can't slack because I'm like I had this it's sort of an advantage or like something to be grateful for. I had to make the most of it. And the best analogy I've heard someone kind of give, well, it's about potential. It's like everyone talks about how potential is like if you're high intelligence, high IQ, potential makes life easier for you. High IQ makes life easier for you because you got more going on. Like someone with low potential, it's going to be hard for them. But the reverse perspective is imagine two different people. One person was given land, enough land to build a shack. I don't know what square feet that would be. And another person was given enough land to build a mansion. So the
Mhm.
mansion person is the high potential person.
Mhm.
If the person with the mansion doesn't make the most out of that land, it's wasted. So like if you don't, you have the foundations for a mansion, and
Ah.
you have to act like building a mansion is harder. And if you don't, think about all the people that you've screwed over because you've taken up all that space. You've been given that space. You better make use of it because,
Well, a mansion
like,
won't
all the
help you
people.
either, but all
Sorry.
these people. A mansion won't help the random people either. They're not to be pedantic, but
Yeah,
no,
but
it
that
makes sense.
yeah,
You got to use it. It's what
you
you
gotta
give
use it
you
because
use.
someone could have used it. So I can't not make the most of that. So my family, for sure, and then life as well because as you can imagine, you relate intuitive mope. You're a kid. You're like, what the hell is the point of life? Like, what is this? Why me? It was kind of funny because
Speak for
I had
yourself.
a I had bit of an existential conflict because I was like, hold on. I didn't choose to be here. You put me here. It wasn't my
Get
choice.
over it. No one. They didn't
And
choose either.
no, I did.
This
I
is
got
a
over it.
contract. We don't get chosen. We just get thrown in the world. Stop whining about it.
No, yeah, gods are one essentially. But but and I was like, you put me here, and you also put in me the desire, like not to, like it's not easy to want to kill yourself, right? So it's like I can't just
Oh, it's getting
off
easier.
off myself. So it's like, and I was like, this existential conflict of like everything sucks, like everything's not good enough. It was like whole thing I mentioned earlier about the whole ethics thing, like, and that was always so obvious to me of like, oh, like the standards of living aren't good. Like, people just like grow older. The played out thing of you grow older, you chase work, you chase the promotion, you chase this, and then you're old and you die, and it's like that whole thing. And I just didn't see much value in the world.
Mhm.
And I had a switch. I don't know. I think I was around 11 or 12. It was just like a day of 180 of I just had the realization like, holy shit, if I have such a problem, I have to make the world what I think it should be. Like that's now I have purpose, and everything kind of changed. And it's the whole Einstein quote of either I don't know if Einstein actually said it, but everyone
Mhm.
just quotes him of you have two choices. Either you have one choice. Either you decide whether the universe is hostile or a friendly place. It's a little bit of that of you just choose to see things in a progressive way. And then my encounter throughout life, like I've just learned things and appreciated life in a way of like now I just want to serve life. It's like service mode. Like,
Wait,
and
wait,
there's a
wait.
whole thing of like
What did you say? Did you say I want to serve life?
I want to serve life, yeah.
Oh my
Of
god,
like
I said that to someone the 2 days ago. Yeah, are we gonna serve life or death? Death will take care of itself.
yeah, yeah.
It
Um
doesn't need any servants.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and it's just that kind of, and it ties into what I mentioned earlier of like, oh, if I died, it's all about giving all of myself because it's like it's like I don't want any waste. I've been given this body, this mind, these skills,
Mhm.
this opportunity. So how can I, whatever I end up, how can I just give back to the life I've been given? So yeah, I'm grateful for life. Yeah, those are the answers.
What were the first two were? It was one
Fa-
life. Okay, it was
family and
family and
life.
life.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Okay. And then cooked into that was a lot of responsibility. It sounded like.
yeah.
I'll just point. Yeah. Okay. So, I think we're ready for the next question. Good answer. What is the greatest accomplishment of your life?
This one hurts, man. When oh man, it hurts because and maybe I don't know. I have no idea how you feel about it. It's like as soon as I read that, because I know it's relative. It's like what is the greatest? So I just pick what I've done, but immediately I'm just like I haven't done anything great, and like I wanted to. Like at this age, I was like, oh, I would have done a TED talk. Like that's one of my goals of like
Mhm.
doing a TED talk. So it's like things like it's like this that question made me reflect, like, oh, I haven't done it like the great things I wanted to do.
Don't worry
But
about that. Don't worry
I
about. Don't worry about. There are people who did TED talks at the age you wanted. Obscurity.
yeah,
Don't worry about
and
that.
yeah, and it's true.
Bide your time. Bide your time. Get the bigger flex later.
And it's I mean that's a good point as well because you never just because you could be at a high point doesn't mean always going to be the case.
Mhm.
It's highlights. It doesn't mean that's what it is. But okay, so picking if I were to pick greatest accomplishments, maybe things when I was younger. For the school football team in high school, secondary school, we got to the I guess you'd call it regional finals. So we
Mhm.
got the finals for the I guess north of UK, and we played at the our football stadium, like our home team's actual football stadium. So at the KC Stadium. So that was cool. I was like, oh wow, like on a pitch, we're on the finals. We lost the finals, which sucked,
Mhm.
but that was really cool. Um, I think the and I don't know if I'd put that as greatest. Um, and maybe the FIFA YouTube channel because I have done other YouTube channels. We did the Nine Show with the guys. That was really cool, and I had my own personal YouTube channel. And I think what I really liked about my YouTube channel was I um I didn't have that many subscribers in the grand scheme of things. At the time, it was good. I had like 1,000 subscribers, but I just wanted to get partnership, and partnership is when you get
Mhm.
sponsored by a media company, and so I
Mhm.
got sponsored by a sports media company, and I had to sign a contract. I was like, I'm 15, I'm signing a contract to play games. Like this is a win. So that was good for me, even though I didn't make like a ton of money. I didn't have a lot of subscribers. That was like I this was my goal and I did it. And then maybe that's why I was like I don't know. But yeah, that was the goal to get partnership and I did. Um yeah, I think I'll go with that.
I mean, man, you've set out more goals and achieved than I have. I'll give you that. You know, you,
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
objectively.
Yeah.
I'll get you.
But it's not over yet. This is the thing. I know I it's a race
Don't you
till
see? Don't you see? My goals are better than yours.
yeah, I know it's not over. I know it's not over. Um, it's yeah, and I had like what something I was thinking of, with the whole thing of like not feeling good with not doing things I think are great. Yeah, my rebuttal that I have to myself to always make me feel better is like I'm not dead yet, right? I'm not dead yet. Because you're still going on, and the more you reminisce, you kind of are taking away from the opportunity ahead of you. So you just gotta
Yeah,
let it go. Gotta
yeah,
let it go.
true.
Um,
The more
yeah,
you
because
reminisce,
it's
you're taking away
yeah,
from the future. That's why I'm like, shit, I gotta resolve this. Spend so much time in mope mode, and I'm like, I gotta resolve what's ever
it's
going
hard, man.
up in here in the back.
Yeah, it's
That's gotta
hard.
get resolved.
I mean, I struggle too. I struggle too. You just keep trying to weed it out. But yeah, it's really hard for me as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. 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 Cool, man.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next question. What do you value most in friendship, and what does friendship mean to you?
Yeah. So this is a good one because as soon as I was like just thinking about that question, there's two types of friends.
Mhm.
There's social friend, and then there's like actual friend.
Ah.
Social friend is like it's a level of familiarity with someone that you know you're fond enough with them and you've spent some time with them. Sometimes if you're super fond with someone and you like, but you just meet them, you spend 10 minutes with them, but you're so fond of each other, you're friends immediately. If you're not that fond of each other, but you like actually spend quite a bit of time over time, like weeks, then you're like, okay, we're friends or whatever. But that's the equation, and it's just familiarity. And
Mhm.
social friend is like, I would call this person a friend. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my friend, so and so. It just means I can talk. I can like talk to. I'm familiar with them.
Mhm.
But and that's people have that, right? But for me, that's different from actual friends. An actual friend is not can I talk to this person? It's like, would I actually go out of my way to talk to this person? And that's a lot fewer. So actual friend has requirements for me, or like things that it has to be there. So for me, and I answered this in a different video. I think this was Austin Olar's channel. He was like interviewing groups of people that were in a particular type. So he was interviewing all the NITIs, and he was asking about relationships. And I gave this answer of like what it means to me is like the purpose of a relationship is encouraging growth, or the encouraging. And if that's not there, it's like, what's the point? That's what it feels like for me, right?
Yeah.
So like, I want to feel like I'm growing and I'm helping this person grow. There has to. It sounds trans. It's like a win-win, and it has to be that kind of foundation. It has to have that foundation, I think. Um, yeah,
It's it's
yeah,
it's hard to maintain a lot of friendships if you don't feel like you have that when you're more like talking to Guy was talking about how he's like, yeah, my friendships seem kind of shallow, even though I do have the friends that are like the people who I can share my darkness with. I'm like, okay, that sounds
yeah,
important. But he's like, I just did an interview with you, Henry. I just thought you were a friend. I was like,
yeah.
that's, that's
That's
not how I
crazy.
view it. That's not how I
Yeah,
viewed it.
yeah,
Because we didn't talk more than that. And it's
yeah, yeah,
like, why would I view you as a friend? Like, what have you
yeah,
done for me? What have I done for
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
What are you talking about? It's like I'm just handing out. Unfortunately, it's handing out friendship like cupcakes. But then I reflected on that. I said, "Holy shit! The ones are doing the same thing with flex.
I
The
see.
ones are flexing over. The ones can flex over fucking nothing. The ones will literally turn something that
Right.
means nothing and go, I'm the best at this. It's like no one cares. No one cares.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But
I
that's it's
let's do the
it's really
math.
important to do that still though, because have you heard
Do
of the
what?
winner
What
effect?
specifically?
Self-validation.
Yes, but they're not
The,
self-validating. They are bringing it out to the public. It's social, right?
oh, okay, okay.
It's
It's not even,
social.
so it's not,
It's
yeah, you're
showing
just
off. It's
showing,
not
okay, okay.
self-validation.
Okay, okay.
It's
That's
I'm showing
interesting.
off, and I'm showing off nothing.
Wow.
Now let's turn this on to
Okay.
you and being a two. So twos have drive, if not more than the ones, or can even take on more work than the ones, it would seem. But if you don't have the specialize, where are you directing that energy? What are you building?
Yeah.
What are you
My,
building on? You're building
yeah,
up yourself. You're
yeah.
building up your
That's,
skill set to be able to do anything. That's great.
mhm.
But if you died tomorrow, your skill set would die.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm still, yeah, so I still care. Like my thing was, and maybe the two, I just connected the whole thing of when you said like twos maybe do focus on the demons a lot. I think, ever since getting my type, I was like, I want, like, my identity that I'm trying to impart in the world is I want to be a producer, not a consumer.
Same.
So I do want a product. Like on my goals, it's like I want a TED Talk and it gets out there in the world. I've done this, and I want to write a book. Like these were goals that like I had for myself. I don't know if I'll ever do them, but I do want a product. I do want something like kind of leave my mark type stuff. The question is whether how much focus I am putting on it, and it's a whole point of single point focus. Because if you have too many things, it's like potential or like stem cells. You have particular stem cells called, I think they're totipotent. So they're called totipotent. They're the most adaptable stem cells. They can be anything. They can be anything, but because of that, they're actually useless on their own. And what happens with stem cells, they go through stages, and I think it goes into pluripotent, and then there's like a third stage. And at that third stage, it becomes a thing, whether it's a muscle or a skin or an eye cell. It can actually do something, but it can be nothing else, right? And the fear I've had that I guess unconsciously as I was a two, because of my patterns of behavior and my desires, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna be pluripotent of like I can do anything, but I'm actually gonna be nothing. Like, like that's the fear of like, if you're not, there's nothing, there's no
you have to make a decision on which direction you're going to go. If you go every direction, you're not going any direction.
You're
actually
exactly
staying in the same spot. But I almost wanted to make this like, get on a team. Yeah, find a direction. Maybe you need a one in your life. I'm not going to put one out. But maybe you need a one in your life to give you some direction. Don't know many ones I'd recommend. I'll let you think about that. I'm just kidding. But it's like Dave is talking about basically I'm not sure if he said it specifically, but he's like, I'm taking on the identity of a writer. I'm a writer now. I'm like, holy shit, that's all my goal is to be a writer. And this guy who's specialized last is saying it's kind of weird putting on the hat and saying I am a writer. You might have to do that at some point and say I am this.
I had to do that, and it hurts, man. It hurts. So
it hurts you? And see, the thing is, I could see for Dave he was struggling with it, but it wasn't a struggle for me. It was then living up to that is also the struggle.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a struggle too. That's still a struggle too. Like living up to it's still a struggle too. But the commitment side is also painful because it feels like someone has 10 kids and you're telling them kill those 9 other kids. Like
I've had to kill my stories. I've had to kill my stories. I've had to go, this story which I want to tell is my own trauma, doesn't resonate with others. Sorry, a comment. It does not resonate with others. I have to listen to others and learn their stories if I'm going to tell a universally resonant story. I have to do friends, right? And then but what I essentially have to do is a psychological work on myself of I have a Winchester mystery house. I'm going to do all these great things and they all conflict and they're never going to happen. How do I make the story simpler? And that is also hard, but my saviors help. And now it's like, okay, I'm getting down to the line where it's like, oh my God, you're actually sorting out your story. You thought it was sorted out. You've been talking about the story for years. You're actually now it's time. It's gonna be time soon. And also I had to put in some work and go on some adventures. Get some life experience. So I'm not just someone who just has stayed where he's been his whole life. So there's still some more experience to get before I might have to blast it out out. But like it's getting down to the line where it's like, okay, here's a thread. You have to follow this thread. You have to go on a journey. You have to leave home. You have to leave everyone behind. And you have to care about others, and you
Yeah.
have to like all this stuff. So it's like
yeah.
that's where the pain is of like it's the same thing. So I'm seeing like
absolutely.
the twos are directionless until they could literally go, okay, what's the number one hat?
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah,
number,
and
but like
yeah,
what is maybe it's your manager, but like
yeah.
if you died tomorrow, what would be left? There might be a lot of structure and a lot of stuff you maintain, but were you just a worker bee? Would you build?
Yeah. And for me, my like specializing a commitment was like I'm gonna have my own organization, psychology consultancy. Because when I finished that year, the reason why I became a customer success agent was because I was like, well, let me do this. I'll learn how business works, and there might be something else I prefer. But then it was like the two stuff came out, and I was like this whole thing of like not just picking and deciding and pushing in a direction has been screwing me over. And I was like, no, I need to commit, and I've committed, and I'm looking for a job in organizational psychology, which I'm not like I'm not excited for. I'm not like this is what I want, this is my passion. I'm just like, this is market value for this goal. Like it's just the logical step. And it wasn't easy for me to decide, okay, I'm doing this. It was a little bit of, you just have to burn the boats. And it was also listening to Alex Hormozi's story.
I was about to talk about Alex Hormozi.
That was it. That was it.
What he said, I noticed a pattern. He's like, I talk to all these entrepreneurs. They all have 15 businesses, and they're like, how do you make $1 million? How do you make millions? He's like, you pick one. So there's a cultural thing in this group of twos and twos where they all have that many. He's like, no, you got to max out one.
Yeah.
Because you're so much. Yeah.
And he had to learn that the hard way. His whole story of he started opening gyms, and he was super spread thin. I think he was managing his racket was opening the gyms, getting people in, getting people memberships for the gyms, and then the gym owners would kind of manage the gyms. And he was overseeing different gyms, and it fucked up. And he was at a point where he was like, okay, now I have to sell everything. And then as he was selling his gyms, he stumbled across, someone asking, oh, could you teach me your technique of like how you got everyone in? And he was like, oh, I'll teach you. Sure. And then another person he was, canceling the contract, but asked the same thing. He was like, oh, would you pay so much for it? And the person was like, yeah, I'd pay for it. And he was like, damn. Then he just that was his thing, teaching people how to get people. And he was like, he was because I haven't really explained it properly. He was doing a bunch of things, and he narrowed his focus on, I'm just gonna do this whole racket of showing people how to, open gyms, and that's it. And he was like, I'm gonna focus on this for years, make as much money as I can, and then I'll do different things, which is what he ended up doing, because I think he went into cybersecurity and something else. Like he started doing other stuff, but he had to build the foundation of specializing, using what he was good at, hammering that like to the nth degree, build his market value, and it's like stable enough that he can, transition and do the whole shebang. And that was like, oh shit, like I have to commit and then come out the other side and then do my stuff.
So the other thing was kind of about Alex Hormozi. I kind of want to point out is like the social stack. Like I've heard him talking about that, where he's like, they're like, Alex Hormozi, go get famous. He's like, why would I want to do that? Just give me my money, give me my job. I don't care. And he's like, oh, but I can have an impact, a responsibility. But like, he's like, oh, I must flex. And he's kind of saying the utility. I think, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You probably watch more of him than me. I think what he was saying is like, I'm using all this book stuff and all this publicity to recruit people. And it's like, that's the flex of showing off of like, I'm the best. Come join me. You're going to attract the cream of the crowd. You're gonna, Dave and Shane have to flex. They have to go, hey, we're better than all the other systems. Join us.
Yeah,
The
it
one
serves his mission. Yeah, yeah, exactly, 100%. It serves his mission. It serves his mission
So
because
within
his
that,
mission is to make what's how do I frame this? His mission is making, owning a business and being successful accessible to everyone. So he's trying to make that accessible to everyone. So then he has to stand out, do things at a good quality, and market himself and stuff. All ties into the mission. Yeah,
wow.
yeah, that makes yeah. I guess it makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm mopey enough that I like a little bit of notoriety, isn't so bad. Like, because I know for him, he really, like you mentioned, he was happy being anonymous. But like some respect, some like adulation would be good.
It's my lifeblood.
Yeah. I'm asking for some. You want all of it.
Yeah, it's like
It's
like,
your
like, can I
oxygen.
have a teaspoon of respect? And I see the gallon. I'm like,
Yeah.
give me that some respect juice. Respect me, please.
Yeah. It's like an IV drip. It's constantly on. It's like not even.
I'm an addict.
Yeah.
I've had to learn to take the teaspoons and just be happy.
Yeah. Wean yourself.
Wean yourself. I'm an addict. I'm weaning myself off the respect. I wasn't getting no respect. I wanted it.
Yeah.
If I want the real, I'm just an addict. We're all just addicts. Like, give it to me.
All we can do is hide.
Okay, I'll act for 2 seconds if you give it to me.
Yeah. It's like holding the urge. Holding the urge. Yeah.
Oh my god. What was the question? It was about friendship.
Yeah, I don't.
You said it was two-tiered. Okay.
I don't know how we got there, but yeah.
We will. I rewatch most of my interviews, so
this will be interesting.
This one is so long. I'm gonna have to timestamp it. Timestamp everything.
Yeah.
Because our first initial conversation was just so long. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to elaborate? We're back to the what cannot be joked about. Do you want to elaborate on what you said before? Do you still believe it? Do you still believe it in the sense?
Yeah, I can elaborate. So for me, it was. You know what's funny? I'm just looking at my notes. I think I took the mental health thing off. So I don't know why I came back to it, but I can't talk about why it came into my head in the first place as an idea of like what it. So it. I guess for me, it's having empathy for people struggling with mental health issues, just from personal experience, being younger. I mean, when I was younger.
Can I ask, how old are you again?
Oh, 27.
27, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Just being younger, like being close with certain people and finding out, oh, like this is a thing, and just having this appreciation of, some people are living, some people are walking different paths. You can't see the struggle, but it's there, and it's the whole thing of just respecting that. And some people, because you can't see it, it's very easy to kind of belittle or not see the weight or the brevity of it as the person is experiencing it. So it's kind of just respecting the strength that people have when they're upholding themselves, like people, waking up, doing their work, the push and the discipline of like, I have every urge telling me to go to bed, but and just crawl in the ball, but I'm pushing against that, and I have this urge much stronger than other people, and it's just a respect thing. I think that's where it came from, but I did take it off. I guess because my mind was going towards, well, people can joke about it though. If like, let's say if you suffer with a mental health issue, you can just talk about the absurdity of it or something, like
it is absurd.
Yeah. So it's not not totally off limits. But
But
the one I
you're saying
had,
there should be some care there.
yeah. And the other one was like rape, but not rape conceptually, because some people will joke about rape, like they might create a story of like, oh, and like if it's a comedian, they might joke about how they got raped or whatever. That's fine, but I think if you're joking about an actual event that happened and making light of an actual event, that's off limits. But conceptually, you can joke about rape. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, like that is my when I say don't joke about things happening to kids, I'm talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And rape is so
Oh,
hard because it's oh sorry.
is my connection okay? Because I think
I
you're
see
cutting.
the connection thing, and you seem fine. And I've seen that before, and I've had no issues show up. So
Yeah. Where we talk.
as long as you and I are clear, I think we're fine. It just says
Oh.
connection low. So
Oh, right. I see. Got you.
no, I feel like we're connected. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's what I was like. Does he mean like? It's like yeah. No, cool.
This will be our
We're
go-to responsibility interview for sure. For all the people
yeah.
wondering if they're responsibility or not. You were late. You're responsible.
Yeah.
So
And the other thing was also wishing death upon someone. Like I would say like
I've
wish death upon someone if you genuinely want them to die. But then if you're like joking about it, it's like
no, I'd
bad.
much
It's like
rather
bad juju.
torture them for a while first. Come on. I would never give them the sweet release of death. My
Oh, man.
enemies?
Yeah.
I'm burning you. Not you, but them.
Oh man. Yeah. Those are my.
Imagine me torturing someone.
How would you do it?
Just the most creative. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'd forgive them. You get a pardon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pardon all my enemies. Don't worry about it. I will be a great uniter.
This is not a droid.
We are be feeling united.
Yeah.
I'm not torturing my enemies. I am not getting revenge. You should not be afraid of me.
Oh my god. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, one thing I wanted to ask as well was, how come you put that question? It seems really random.
You want to know where all these questions come from?
Where?
They come from a thing that was done called 36 questions to fall in love. And so I just grabbed some random ones out, but it makes sense.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah. I just grabbed people.
Okay.
When I was first interviewing people, they were mopes. There were quite a few mopes. There were quite a few threes, and they were like, "I want to be prepared." And I was like, "Okay, sure." And I was like, "Oh, I've always wanted to use this."
Right.
Always wanted to use this and never found a use for it. And I went, whoosh.
Yeah.
And
okay.
It is a subject I kind of care about, I guess.
Yeah.
I do care about it because I mean, I'm a 1. Why am I doing interviews? Let's talk about the things I want to talk about.
Yeah. Dude, like for a while I was like, I can't believe like, because you've been doing regular interviews. When you first did it, I was like, oh, he's probably just gonna do a few, but you kept doing them. I was like, that must be so draining to like just dive into the person's world. Yeah, of course it's not draining. But yeah, I'm impressed.
Thank you, man. Well, it's actually very empowering because we're on a subject I care about. Because I've been studying stuff that correlated to social order that I don't feel like I could talk to anyone about. So when it came out, I was like, holy shit. I was like, yes. I was super empowered. And I wanted to talk about social order stuff. And people on the Discord, I was torturing people because I was given the info before they put it out.
Right.
By someone who visited Dave and Shan. You can guess who. and and so I was like trying to talk it out with people, and people were like, "We don't want to hear it. This makes us all uncomfortable." Blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's been so much drama, like people being like, "I'm leaving the community because of social order stuff." So
yeah.
it was a subject I care about. Everything I want to do has to do with social order, my understanding of the world. So yeah, it's a subject I really care about. So yeah, give me an excuse. Give me an excuse to take the camera. And it's been great. And I've gotten a bit beaten up about my first few interviews. I talked about myself. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, my Billy interview.
I liked that. Was a good.
It was good because it was a contrast.
Yeah.
But if I click around the interview, I'm like, oh my god, I'm talking. So now I try and click through the interview. I go like, okay, is the other person talking?
Right. That's growth, man. Like you're measuring, you're tempering the one. You're weaning yourself off in a.
No, man, I'm weaning myself on. What are you talking about? Getting more and more power as the time goes on. I feel more power to me. And also, part of my goal was to get closer to Dave or Shan because I want certain data about mental health stuff. Maybe they don't have it, but Dave has agreed to do a podcast or an interview with me after he gave me my So part of my goals. And I was looking at how many videos I have. I was like, I want 20, 20 is a good number. And I'm like, I kind of just been grabbing all the random people I've been talking. Well, not random people. Like there were always reasons for grabbing a certain person, but I've kind of been grabbing people from the Discord or people I'm interested in for certain reasons. And I've been afraid, like, oh no, I'm not going to be interested. This one's going to be boring. And it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet.
I will say, I was trying to do the math in my head. I will say, if you get to 20 YouTube videos, I heard Chris Williamson say this. I don't know if it's an actual fact, but he said, I think he said something like, of all the people that start podcasts, it was about podcasts. Let's assume this relates to YouTube. All people that start podcasts, 95% drop off after like the first. It was something like 5 videos or something. So it was like 5%.
So
and he was like, of the 5%, 5% of those get to 21. So as soon as you get past 21, you're 0.25% of people who actually you've beat all those people. So
the other thing is I'm building up a skill set now. That I'm like, hey, I can interview people. Hey, you can say I talk about myself. I can get someone else to talk about themselves. Hey, I can learn about someone else's story. And my family now, like, they don't really understand this, but they pass it around. They're like, oh my god, Henry's gonna be a podcaster. I'm like, oh, sure, why not? I don't care. Well, I have to work on branding. I have to work on what do people like. I mean, some of the next steps with the YouTube channel right now is I want to make a video about AI art and OP stuff. So I just punched in masculine, feminine, and made a bunch of things. And I was like, hey, this is what the AI is pumping out of our SF subjective, what we like. You can just use it to pump into the collective unconscious. And then I want to remake my social order video, my social organizations video with the AI art. I've already made a bunch. But like I'm getting caught up on a few SI stops, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you so that I can hold myself accountable because like people expect to know. So I want to go back through all my interviews, all my thumbnails, and I'm planning on making AI art of the interviewees.
Yeah, that's really cool, man.
Because my goal is to make AI movies of my story book. So it all fits together.
Crazy. Yeah. I really want to see that happen.
It's once I write the first book, I'm just gonna go AI. Here's the concept of the book. Fucking make it how I wrote it. I don't want to write it.
Yeah, I want to see that happen. That's really cool. That's cool. Yeah.
So the future will be in the hands of the people who can use AI. No one else. Even if AI is gonna be scary and bad, the AI is a devouring digital mother who will give you anything you want. If you go into that matrix pod, you will never leave. So, understanding that it is this evil thing, this seductress, I must seduce the seducer.
Yeah, I was telling my friends this because they were talking about, oh, this is another job that's going to be taken by AI, and I was just like, good. It's essentially evolutionary pressure, and we haven't had that because we've been so awesome as like a species. But now we have to. It's just evolutionary pressure. I guess I'm a little bit harsh that way in my view of reality. I'm just like, I want the best of people, and I just assume like it's worth
Well,
it.
you're smiling about it,
Yeah.
but the thing is we're leaving people behind. But what always must happen in life and evolution is, I've said this metaphor. I go, for us to have our big brains and our ability to feel and love and imagine great things and great acts of art and love, we stand on the bodies of every one of our ancestors' cousins and brothers and sisters who didn't make it, so that we could have selection pressure to be where we are now. And
Yes,
soon,
that's the burden of.
we are on the cusp of having. We literally have the technology now to modify our genes.
Yeah.
And soon we will have that, or someone will pick up the reins of modifying our genes. And good. I need my genes to be modified because I have some defects. Some literally nothing you can deny that's a genetic defect. But there's so much danger in the people who are going to pick up the reins of genetic modification.
Yeah.
I go, I want a wise hand. I can do it. I believe in myself. I believe in myself to be in control of this. I have to tell a story. I need to tell people what the meaning of life is.
Yeah, yeah.
But they don't go down the wrong path of genetic modification. Because like in my storybook, I had my main story. It's very analogous to modern times. And I have a future story, and I went, what if it was a sci-fi world and all the aliens were modified humans? It's like there is a lot of light and coolness in this stuff, and I can explore all the bad stuff of we modified everyone to be docile. What happened?
Yeah.
We modified everyone to be perfect and augmented them to be perfect. What happened?
Yeah.
You know, everyone became Kim Kardashian on a planet. You know, it's like every planet is like an alternate universe. There doesn't need to be multiple universes. Actually, I fucking hate multiverse theory.
Really? Why?
I'm an NE. I go,
how anti-NE? How
you're just projecting. You're just projecting all these branching pathways. Fuck you. Multiverse isn't real. How would we even select that? Oh, there's infinite possibilities, and maybe this is the best in the world. I don't give a fuck. Because you're in the reality you are now.
Yeah.
What does it even matter if you can't travel?
Yeah, that's 100. Yeah,
what does it matter? And this is a modern day thing where we're telling stories of multiverse, and it's like infinite possibility. I'm like, yeah, but your reality, motherfucker.
Yeah.
What are you gonna make it?
Yeah, 100%.
And there is an infinitude of possibilities. I can leave the city, go to somewhere else where it's slightly different, different hats and whatever. You can see the infinite realities in the reality you're in, and that's the story I want to tell. You know, like where it's like the universe is so big. There's a planet of people who modified themselves and made themselves perfect. It's like the women, they all move the same. They all pull out the lighter and light the man's cigarette perfectly seductively, and then you realize, oh my gosh, they replaced all the women with robots. And all the men are Max Headroom, a sleeked back, blonde hair, blue-eyed beast. And they're all yuppie ones. It's like, what happens if we start modifying ourselves? Okay, everyone be taller. I want my son to be tall. Well, I want my son to be ambitious. Well, I want my son to be handsome. Until the people modifying what's handsome are these Max Headroom. Look up Max Headroom.
I will. Now I have to.
Look up Max Headroom. He was to make fun of he was like from the 80s or 90s to make fun of yuppies, and like he's a cybernetic guy who's like slicked back hair.
Wait, I think I recognize. that.
Yeah. And I
him.
go, well, what happens when the beautiful meme becomes we're going to modify ourselves and we all think this is the ideal? It's
Yeah.
like sociopaths. Not necessarily. Now, I'm being observant, I'm sure. But I'm like, it's a fun story to tell people, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to be able to explore that. And I can't explore it in my first series. I can only explore it in the future sci-fi one. But I've been able to like tie it back in.
Yeah.
Like I had 21 books planned, and I was like, there's no way I'll write these at the rate I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's really cool, though. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to see that make it to the end.
Well, you know, these interviews are just marketing.
Yeah.
I'm about connecting with people, and making friends, making allies before I make it to the top, and I can't trust anyone.
Yeah.
You know, they said.
Is this your vetting process of like what? Who do I? Is this like a little bit of your vetting?
I'm gathering friends. You're my friend.
Yeah.
We're friends, dude. We've been talking longer than anyone I've interviewed.
Yeah. So I'll take that's a win.
We're friends. We're friends now. You're someone I can talk to, bro. So how did we even get here? Fucking
I don't know how we do it. The question was
you're like, why are you doing this? I'm like, let me explain.
I think the question was about the serious to be joked about question, but I don't know how we got there.
We'll have to look back at it in post, and I'll have to be like, because I'm sure it was me doing a tangent.
I'm sure there was a reason.
I know.
Yeah.
And you asked, and I'm like, and then you're like, what? But like, the thing is imagine me 5 years talking about a book to his friends and family, and none of them want to hear. Right? What have I been doing wrong? I can't get anyone to help me. I need to gather help. And one person said, imagine walking around with a transparent briefcase with $1 million in it, chained to you. And people start talking to you differently. And every time someone starts talking to you, you're like, okay, is he talking to me because he's interested in me? Because there's a change. Or is he talking to me because the briefcase that I'm chained to is this a psychopath who wants to saw this off my arm?
Yeah.
And he went, that's what it's also like to be a beautiful woman.
Right. Yeah.
Do they care about me, or is it just because I'm beautiful?
Yeah.
Which there's a whole problem with the dating game of like this, not problem, but it's just like the reality of it. Of how do I know
it's an
really
obstacle.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've realized this from holding back on telling girls what I actually want. I've been an EP and I've been like, let me barf out everything I want. You know, right? I'm an EP, and NF, and not telling a girl what you want, and then they reveal to you and say what they wanted, which is what you wanted. You're like, wow, I can trust that.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, I want to be honest, be open. It's like, no, hold back. You're not gonna really connect with someone, really know someone until you've tested it.
Yeah, it's like opening space for them to fill the space. Themselves. Yeah.
Like, oh wow, this IJ's got it right. Don't tell everyone everything. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, I do appreciate.
I want to reveal everything. I do. But what were you
gonna
say?
You gotta wait. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say. I think it does come back to ENFPs because I got that from Owen. Social dynamics, Owen Cook stuff. So.
What do you say? The hold back so that people can reveal themselves.
Yeah, I guess I'm drawing a tentative connection, but just like being more centered, not trying to get something from the other person, but being more
that was centered, the biggest thing I'm doing.
And it creates that natural, organic fluidity between you and the other person.
That's so what I was been processing the last month is just like I was like, I want something out of this person. I'm like, well, you have to give up wanting something out of someone if you're actually going to connect with them. Like, and you actually want to connect with someone. So the need, I need this thing. And that's so much why everyone's a desperate, needy idiot. I need this person to solve this void in myself. And I'm like,
Yeah.
let go.
It's interesting because like I've been told by like a couple of people, they've been like, you're really persuasive. And I'm just like, that's interesting. And I have to do the connection of, I think that's coming from, I'm not trying to persuade you. So then you're more vulnerable to be persuaded. But it works. I've learned to use that at my on my like in my job because I have to get because there's a project and I have to make sure the clients do stuff and sometimes they don't want to. And I know I have more influence over them because of the way I've built my rapport with them. So I can get them to do stuff, which, and my colleagues would struggle sometimes. Like sometimes my manager's like, ooh, this is going to be a difficult situation. And I'm like, no, I can get them to do that. Like, they'll be fine. And she's like, oh, okay. And then it's like usually, and it's fine. Like they'll do it. And it's like a sense. It's like, I know I've built up the currency so I can use it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Otim, I have to ask you the last question.
Yeah, no.
Probably have to wrap it up, even though I'm sure we'll go on another tangent and we will hit 3 hours.
Yeah, it was 100%. 100%. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Final question. How do you cope with the fact that you will one day die?
Just I had to think about that question as a kid because I was like, you have aspirations as a kid. You're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. You're super single observer. You see a kid on TV with cancer, and you're like, and you see this person dying, and you're like, what if I just die before any of my dreams manifest or whatever? Then I was like, I have to live life in a way that I could die the next day. Like, so that was it. I was like, I need to have a way of navigating with life where it's like I get the value now. So for me, it's just alignment with it's about being directionally correct. So alignment, it's just putting 110% effort every day and just doing your best, just knowing you've done your best. Yeah, that's it. And I'm not holding on to anything. It's like, I'm here to serve. I do my best. I was going to die at one point anyways. So it doesn't, whenever it is, like my life depends on me dying. So I have to bring that to the forefront of everything I do. So it's like, just do your best and then disappear. Because, hey, even if you did the most amazing thing ever, at some point that will die because this civilization will, like everything will end, right? So in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter anyways. So you just play your game. Well, when it's over, it's over.
5,000 years of effect would be pretty epic, even if this.
It would.
So you kind of got me there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's my answer.
Okay. Otim, I'm ready to shut down the broadcast, but Otim, it's been great. Stay on for a second. But I'm gonna say sayonara to the 2 people watching.
Yeah. Wow, they made it all the way till the end. That's crazy.
Well, the rest will watch when they get to it. I am sure we will get views because you are a 2. And well, I'll say more later. But
yeah.
Bye, guys. Thanks for
everyone. Bye.